And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Welcome back to Who's Views. It's nice to see you. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you? Yes, it is Saturday, but there is so much to talk about, isn't there, Who Viewers? There is so much out there, so much that is arriving at the moment. Welcome to part one of two parts of headlines, because we're back tomorrow as well. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for joining us. Have you heard? The BBC have started the publicity for Series 1 of Disney Who, RTD 2 Who, or Series 14. Delete as applicable, whichever one you want. And have you also heard that Ncuti Gatwa can't help but opening his big gob? As I say, we've got lots to get through this evening, and joining me as ever, we've got Third Doctor Ian, and we've got Paul. Hi, guys.
Hello there.
Well, here we go. Here we go. We knew it was going to get busy, but we didn't know it was going to get as busy as it seems to be as we approach the final. The start of this new version of. Listen, before we start, though, I want to say a huge thank you, as usual, to everybody that's been getting in touch through the week at the Who's Views 1@gmail.com email address. I want to say thank you to Lex, to James, to Mark, to Steve, to Simon, to Jack, to Jacob, and to Atom. And it's to Atom that we're actually going to start, guys, because last night, everybody, in case you didn't know, we did Merchandise Paradise Live, where ourselves and Badria and George all geeked out over the latest character options, Ruins of Skaro box set, and other things. And as part of that conversation, I mentioned that one of the things I would like to see was based on something a fan had done a couple of years ago, which was a box set of action figures to celebrate the 5 Doctors. Now, I didn't know at the time, but it was our very own Atom that did it. And he has reminded me by sending me his graphics. This is what I saw a couple of years ago. This is a mock-up of what we as fans would really like to celebrate the 5 Doctors in. What do you think of this, guys?
That is lovely. That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
It'd be a big box, because as you can see there, you're getting the first Doctor, Herndl, now available. The second Doctor in fur coat, now available. Third Doctor, a re-release because it's already available. A fourth Doctor, fifth Doctor, President Baruza, Traken Outfit Master, the Chancellery Guard, Cyber Leader, a Cyberman, a Dalek, a Yeti, and a Raston Warrior Robot. I would pay good money for that.
They are fabulous. I saw one today of John Pertwee variant, and they had him in his Cave Monsters outfit. They had him as the cleaner from the Green Death.
Yes, I saw that earlier.
They were fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, because we were talking about that as well, weren't we? Because we want an Inferno set as well. But listen, Atom, thank you for sending that to me. I was so delighted that you were in the chat and you said, that was me. It was me that put it together. And there it is there. So yeah, if you want to see us all geeking out and being happy for once on this channel, then yes, go and look at last night's Merchandise Paradise Live. Because we do have a bit of
that. Are watching, please do that set now, please. Thank you.
Yes. And we'll start saving now in case they do. But listen, you're watching headlines. Nice to see you all. It's brilliant to have you. You are all kicking off in the chat already, aren't you? You know what we were doing. Cybermat Strikes is here with us and saying, I would buy that. Absolutely. Lex is also saying, wow, that looks good. Who else we got there? Yes, we know you mean the action figures. I thought you were talking about me for a minute, though, Lex. So there we go. Douglas, nice to see you as well, saying it looks good. And we're always happy on Who's Views, says Neville. I hope so, Neville. Lovely to see you. Divining Dragon, DD, it's nice to see you as well, saying that was lovely. Absolutely. You're very welcome, Lex, and thank you for your emails. Really appreciated. I know that Kirsty and I think also Garbage are in the chat. Yes, there he is there. Nice to see you, Kirsty and Garbage. They're going to be looking after you through this show as well in the chat. Kirsty will put in the email there for you as well, but it's whosviews1@gmail.com. Meddling Funk is joining us as well. I'm so pleased you're all here because I'm going to struggle getting through these shows. Michael is asking me, how are you today? Well, I was all right until the lawnmower packed in. Oh, yeah. Why? I was just asking, why is it you put your lawnmower in the garage or the shed for a year, you bring it out and it never works? What's that about? It's a fix. It really, really is. Dalek, I love you is saying hi to one and all and hope you're all wearing your helmets. Yes, because we're going to need them all now, aren't we? Because it's really getting there. Who else is in with us? Look, you're all here. Time to let it go, folks. He's talking about the show there, the actual Doctor Who show. I'm inclined to agree. Mark's also given us another tagline. Whether a lifelong Whovian or new to the TARDIS crew, make Who Views your source for Doctor Who news.
Fantastic. There's a new poet laureate or the new Maca.
Yeah, actually, we're going to make him the Whose Views poet laureate. Well done, Paul.
Fantastic.
Whose Views poet? What's this? No, garbage, not artificial grass. Is not. We're going to be coming back to the subject of grass very soon during this show, as I'm sure you'll be. And our very own Bedweir is with us as well. Jacob, nice to see you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Last night's Merchandise Paradise was great, said Bedweir. Yes, it was. I mean, he's only saying that because he was honest.
I bet you've watched it 3 times now. I bet you have.
Well, listen, let's get into this tonight, everybody. I can't put it off any longer. Let's get on with the conversation. This is, as I say, part 1 of 2 parts over your weekend. We're here today and we are back tomorrow as well. I will remind you throughout the show of that. But yes, they have started the publicity for Series 14, Series 1, RTD2, RTD2, 1 hour, Disney Who, whatever you're going to call it, hasn't it? It's all
Season
on the way.
40.
Yeah, well, there's something I could call it, but I'm far too polite. But anyway, it is all on the way. Even this evening, the publicity has dropped this thing. Have you seen this? This was just a couple of hours ago that the BBC Studios, BBC Media dropped this. Basically saying it's 2 weeks today until BBC One starts to air the new Doctor Who series, and aren't we all excited? You can give me comments about that on our community tab because I posted it a couple of hours ago as soon as it came through. I think it's another lazy looking thing, to be quite honest. It's a variant on the one they gave us for Christmas. I don't like it.
It's almost identical to the stuff we got with Jodie. It's almost the same thing.
Well, yeah, it's the colours and stuff, isn't it? And the logo doesn't look right either. But what's the guarantee that this is the cover of the overpriced season one box set? Anyway, but yes, so there was a lot of publicity that started to happen from around about Thursday onwards. We mentioned BBC social media. Let's look at this one. This is where it said, "I would love it if you came with me to the clinic where we will lop your knob off." No. I'm just joking. That's not what it means at all. It's I would love it if you came with me, and you can see there's some publicity there for it. And then it got underway big time, didn't it, with the premiere, which was on Thursday night. A lot of people there I wouldn't know, to be quite honest. Didn't recognize half of the people they invited to this premiere, but I did recognize these people here. Recognize these two. Any points for this?
Is that Anita Dobson with her mum? Is it?
No, it's not. How rude!
I know it's Brian May. I know that.
Legendary guitarist Brian May.
Brian May's obviously just gone there to see another old queen, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah. But he was at the Christmas one as well, wasn't he? So bless him. He's putting up with it. I do like this Doctor Who sign. I remember saying a couple of years ago that they could do a 3D version of this, so they were actually and light it up. They were obviously watching. It
was the only thing I liked about the whole thing that I saw in the clips and stuff. That logo looks gorgeous. A shame it's associated with this crap.
We used to have those sorts of things at the Blackpool exhibition years ago, if you remember. It was a light box in that shape, and it looked fabulous. Yeah. I know this lady, but I don't know her name. She was in the Christmas one, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's Ruby's adopted mum. Yeah.
Looking a bit too sort of Charkin. With the big puffy shoulders there. There we go. And of course, we do know the legend that is Bonnie. There she is. She was there too. This was all in London, folks. If you haven't seen any of this, was all up on Tottenham, the top of Tottenham Court Road, wasn't it? She's
thinking, just suck air through your teeth and keep smiling, Bonnie.
She's such a pro. She's such a pro.
Take the money, Bonnie. Take the money.
Take the money. Take the money and run. Take the lines and run. And then, of course, we have Millie.
Cameras over here, Millie. This way. This way, Millie.
Yeah, it's a good post. Yeah. It's a good post for my thumbnails, though, so I quite liked that. And then, of course, our new leading man as well was there. You can see.
I have to say that outfit he's wearing for that launch is better than some of his actual Doctor Who costumes, don't you think?
Yeah, apart from the silly flower, we are going to be coming back to some more of. Sorry, go on.
If only that was one of those autumn daffodils, eh?
Yeah, well, maybe we are going to be looking at some more of these pictures from the publicity in case you haven't seen them. Thank you, everybody, for everything that you're saying in the chat. Mysterious Stranger 42, hello, nice to see you. He's saying boo. I hope that's for them and not for us.
Probably for us.
Divining Dragon is saying, I hate when classic characters legitimize horrible incarnations of the show. It tarnishes their legacy. Gosh, what else we got there? It's so wonderful to see. Oh, yay, Bonnie says there. Says Segment Strikes. And beautiful Bonnie says garbage. It's lovely to see so many of you in the chat giving you absolutely everything that all your comments here. I'm getting. Oh, look, hello, Jabe. Nice to see you, Jabe Blanchester. Welcome to Who's Views. Who's Views is going to be the only thing worth watching on a Saturday all year. Well, actually, the new series of Who's Views Reviews will be on Sundays, Jabe. Watch out for it. Make sure you've subscribed and rung the bell so that you know.
We wouldn't want to draw viewing figures away from New Who, would we? Let's be honest.
The other problem is because I will need at least 8 hours to try and get over what I'm about to be. Maybe 16 with 2 back-to-back, as it's been confirmed on BBC One, of course, that episode 1 and 2 will be on the Saturday night before the Eurovision. That's one hell of an evening.
Yeah.
2 hours
next
of Doctor Who and then
next week we'll find out with the Radio Times in terms of covers and things the next Tuesday or the week.
Well, we're going to come to that in just a show. Okay. In just a second. Blue Worm is saying to us here, this is such an inclusive show, Doctor Who, though they forgot to include the fans.
Spot on, Blue Worm, spot on.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. So let's get into the first story we've got for you this evening, and it involves this headline. Doctor Who Season 14, most devastating finale teased by RTD. Are you interested? Let me know this in the chat. I was going to say
most
something else.
Since the last time, you mean?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Always the same. Always the same.
I think by the time they got to season 3, they topped themselves, hadn't they? They couldn't go any further.
Well, let's see what he says about this, because he does say Russell T Davies hints that Ncuti Gatwa's first Doctor Who season finale won't go easy on the new Doctor, as the story will leave viewers shattered. Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies teases a very devastating finale for season 14. The showrunner elaborated that each event in the new season would lead to a high-scale final episode, and with Ruby Sunday in search of answers about her past, it may come at a cost. Now, if you want to read more about that, you can do. We've got a lot to get on with this evening, so I really couldn't be bothered, because that's it in a nutshell, basically. Because as the guys have just said there, we've heard about this before. This all seems very familiar.
Yeah.
Well, there's only so many times the universe can end, you know what I mean? And then you get diminishing returns, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we will carry on with this. Let's have a look. Doctor Who boss promises devastating finale, the biggest ever. This is from radiotimes.com. Russell T Davies has teased a running theme throughout the up-and-coming 8 episodes, leading up to one almighty final. While fans right now are just excited to watch the new season of Doctor Who, with the first 2 episodes, Space Babies and The Devil's Cord, being released at once in May, there is always something tantalizing about a finale. This year's finale, which is called The Empire of Death, will air on the 22nd of June, and showrunner Russell T Davies has teased that it really is one to look out for. Speaking in this month's issue of SFX, Davies said that every episode in the new season stands on its own, but added that there will be a running theme and running story that's going to build and 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 build to the most devastating finale in the world ever. I added that bit. The season structure sounds like it could follow those of previous seasons. No, really, shock. Written by Davies, with a larger storyline such as the Bad Wolf mystery in season 1 or the Harold Saxon narrative, is seeded with references throughout otherwise unrelated episodes, until these all come together with some big reveals either just before or in the season finale. Davies has said that this season's story arc, and in fact next season's as well, will revolve around companion Ruby Sunday. How this plays out across the 14th season, we don't know yet, but fans will no doubt be keeping their eyes out for any references or hints towards the larger story at play. Now, are you in the chat surprised by this news that he's following the tried and tested formula that he did and that Moffat sort of copied as well. And let's just remember there are only 8 episodes in the season. So actually carrying on this story arc into the 8-episode season 2 makes perfect sense, because that's the equivalent of one series back when it came back, isn't it? Of the 14-episode arc. Come on, guys. What are you making of this?
Well, like I've been saying, we've seen all this before, and you're like you're saying, they're following a template of what they did before, thinking it works. But no, I mean, we've done Flux with Jodie, we've done Legopolis, we've done End of the Universe stuff. It's like, well, can you not think of something else?
Same shit, different season.
Yeah.
There's nothing new. It's the premise is the same. The way that the season will go will be the same. There'll be a big, devastating reveal will be the same. And any threat to the Doctor, who cares? What's it going to do? Is it going to kill him and force him to regenerate? Because he doesn't die anymore, does he?
No, there's no threat anymore. They've taken it away.
So why should we give a crap? Not that we give a crap, but why should we? There's no risk or anything at all.
No, it's no surprise to me though that he's actually, and Blue Worm is saying to us here, I don't want to be teased by RTD.
That's a horrible thought.
Yes, well, it's very odd, but it's no surprise to me at all that he's just repeating himself, because that's all this is. This is repeating himself, because we've seen it from the hiring of the production team. It's just been repeat after repeat after repeat. Oh, Murray Gold, repeat. Oh, David Tennant, repeat. This is no shocker to me at all that they're doing this.
It's almost like they're thinking about what once successfully, they want to strike gold again. But I think things have changed quite a lot since then. It's a different place. We talked about it before. In 2005, we're clamoring for it. Now we couldn't care less.
Yeah. Well, it's also the fact that the world has changed. Well, certainly Britain has changed since they were filming it, isn't it? Because they're losing their grip on on how we live, basically. Garbage is saying to us here, viewers, they're expecting there to still be some, are they? Why do I get the feeling, though, that there isn't going to be any, actually?
That's it, Garbage.
They'll all be iPlayer.
On those viewing figures for me, can you? Garbage, check the viewing figures, because they're up here, aren't they?
Well, yeah. But if you look at this, if we go back to this, and we'll take this picture here of Bonnie, it's BBC iPlayer all the time. There's no mention of BBC One.
Yeah.
Did you notice? It's BBC iPlayer all the way, not BBC One at all. This show is now being made deliberately for the iPlayer, and they're not even making any bones about it. It just happens to be on BBC One, but they are now implying they must. I think it doesn't matter now, but this has to be on the iPlayer all the way forward now.
I mean, maybe they are planning to try and promote the iPlayer more, like you were saying, the suggestion of when the BBC ends, if they are going to make it a streaming service of some description, then this is potentially a carrot to dangle to encourage people, if it was 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I just think I'm just not surprised at all. And I'm certainly not surprised it goes over the 2 series. And also when you think of the fact that if it is going to the iPlayer and they're looking at this saying, right, people will binge watch this, maybe that's what we'd also be looking at, everybody, when we watch these things. The clues that are going to come into each episode, are they for a binge watching experience rather than the weekly watching experience? Because there is a difference, isn't there? There really is. Lex is saying to us here, it looks like RTD is living in a time loop. I'm not going to argue with this. And Digby, hi Digby. It's like RTD is revisiting his greatest hits in a misremembered way. Good way of putting that, Digby, because I think I do think he'll be very much. Well, I'm going to say I do think he's so egotistical. He's quite cocky.
I think he's heading to be quite severely humbled, but whether or not he's got the social skills to recognize that he's been humbled is a different thing. I think he thinks he's more popular than he is. I think he thinks he's cleverer than he is. And I think he thinks that just churning out the same thing with a slightly different dressing on it each time will be acceptable. But I mean, it's interesting what you said about binge watching, JT, because when Doctor Who came back, or with proper Doctor Who up to 1989, when it was on once or occasionally twice a week, and you couldn't binge watch it because there wasn't really the internet or iPlayer or anything like that. You were invested in it so much that you remembered from week on week, and you remembered the points, and you referenced back, and you, oh yeah, that happened in that episode and things like that. Whereas they're having to do it possibly for a binge watching audience because they just won't have that investment. They'll just watch it in one go with the jaws down, and probably a little bit of drool because they're not really thinking much.
What you're saying, Ian, about Russell T Davis's confidence, I watched some little snippets of interviews on YouTube, and he didn't look that confident. He didn't look like he was selling it as well as he used to.
No.
Oh, really? Really?
Maybe I'm reading too much into this and taking too much glee from it, but I got the impression he was kind of he didn't look as confident about what was coming as he has in the past. So I can't be reading too much into it. Maybe it's just me, but have a little look at the little snippets of interviews from Radio Times filmed at the premieres, and it's interesting watching his responses a little bit. I don't know if people in the chat agree with that, but it's interesting watching some of that. But,
if you've watched something like that, if you've seen him on the One Show, wherever you've seen him interview, what do you think about what Paul's just said there? Let us know in the chat. Richard is saying to us, hi, Richard, the finale will be the final death of our beloved show. I actually do think it's, I've said to these guys off air, I think it's on borrowed time now. I really, really do. I can't see it getting into another 4 years at all. I think we'll get the two that are in the can, possibly a third to limp it off the air, and I think that's going to be it. Garbage is saying the running theme of this series will be a musical. Again, it's probably going to be, isn't it? Let's face it. Douglas is saying to us, I prefer some more lower stake finales for a while. The universe ending threats just feel too repetitive. Yeah, somebody count how many we've had. And why, everybody? Is this still a thing? All these years later, why do we have to have this big finale? Why can't we just have a story like in the old days where you just had a story that finished everything off and it didn't have to be all linked up? Because not everything is linked up in life, you know.
But you have to as well wait to a significant time, you know, because if you look at, I mentioned Legopolis earlier, when Tom left on Legopolis, it was a high stakes adventure. The universe was ending and it was a poignant time. You want to save that for something when Ncuti leaves or whatever, something that's a bit more interesting for us to engage in, you know, not just throw it away, you know?
The example you've used there is a perfect example of, I mean, it wasn't RTD that came up with these things. We all know about the Key to Time. We all know about Trial of a Time Lord. But actually, it was also in season 18 because the whole entropy thing snuck in around about Meglos time into full circle, didn't it? And then when you can actually see a theme building up to Legopolis where the Doctor has actually saved the universe and what's been going on through that whole series. But it was far more subtle in that case.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And actually a little bit more clever, I would think, because these days they seem to bang you around the head to get the message through. So I just don't know why they need it.
Yeah, I'm expecting, though, a bit like the specials, that nothing will be explained. I'm still trying to work out why David Tennant came back. I still don't know why. So
I was thinking about that the other day. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, who views that exact thing. Why was he there? And why did his clothes change? And why was he wearing the same clothes as the 10th incarnation? I just still don't understand all that because it was nonsense and badly written. Divining Dragon is saying to us, such a finale must have a sacrifice of such nature. Since Gatwa can't regenerate yet, it has to deal with the death of an alternate Doctor or companion. Well, he's brought them all back now, so he can kill any single one of them off, can't he? Blamunek. And Madeline Funk is saying devastating viewing figures for the producers, possibly.
I think Russell T Davis just thinks that big equals better or big equals good, and it doesn't. I mean, you look at, I'm going to pick a Tom Baker classic at random, Robots of Death. It's just, all right, there's the implied thing that if these robots that were able to kill got out into wider society, maybe, but the threat was to a small handful of people in a confined environment, and that worked well through Troughton's era as well. You know, the base under siege thing. It wasn't a lot of people being threatened. It was a small located area, but it was scary, and it was really, really good. Now it's just like, oh, if Jinx Monsoon doesn't put the right makeup on, the universe will end. You know, with
or if somebody doesn't use your pronouns.
I think what's going to happen as well is a bit like if you recall back to, was it season 3 with the Saxon Master stuff, and they changed time and then they just reversed it all again. So no doubt we'll get all this build up, and they'll just fix it like that, which is just dull.
Well, they can never write these. In my opinion, these writers today never give you the payoff. They build up, and as you're saying there, they just fixed it with sticky back plastic from the Blue Peter studio. And it's all, or let's roll back time. Yeah. Or there's no real satisfaction in the end to an episode, is there really, in this day and age? You know what I mean? They just don't seem to be able to do it because they don't have the ability. It's all about the build up. They don't seem to put the pieces from A to B to C on a beginning, a middle, and end. Yeah. Which is as we're all taught, or we used to be taught at primary school. When you're writing a story, you must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I don't think they do any of that these days. Thank you all for your comments. Keep them coming. Richard is saying, I thought the idea for this new Doctor was going to be fabulous and fun. A devastating finale? Good grief, he says in a Danger Mouse way.
Everybody dies.
Everybody dies. Dalek, I love you, is saying to us, there is no threat for Millie at the end of the season 1 when we know she is back alive and kicking in season 2. Excellent point. Excellent point. Maybe, yeah. We talked about on the last show, didn't we, about how we know Millie is going to be in season 2 with what's the new girl's name? Verada,
yeah.
Verada.
Is her name? She's got. I read somewhere. She's got. I think she may be American, and she may have a 50s sounding name, but I can't remember what that was.
I don't know. I'm really not that bothered either. But yeah.
Margie
Blanche.
Or something. Yeah. Blanche.
Yeah. But you've got all that. You've got all that coming through. But I understand that they couldn't really keep that secret because she was going to be seen on location that week. But it doesn't make any sense to say that the stakes are high for her when you know she's going to be in at least 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 episodes.
Like you say, if they are carrying it on to the next season and making that like one big season kind of, then that's possibly okay. But it does a lot of spoilers though still, doesn't it?
Well, do you know what they could do? And it wouldn't put it past them here as well, is to end the first series on an almighty cliffhanger to get people to watch the second one. Yeah. And they have been filmed back to back.
They tried that with Tegan. Yeah, so,
but
it's been done. It's been done.
Yeah, well, that one works because we were interested. I remember the Doctor Who production apparently was flooded with things like saying, no, bring Tegan back. It's not going to be this time around, I don't think. Digby is saying to us here, the tension has gone. Our investment has gone. And as a fan base, we have been actively castigated or patronized. Why should we tune in? It's a great question. It's one we're going to be asking all the time here on Headlines, to be quite honest. I was saying to the guys, I've been thinking exactly the same this week after the last couple of days. I don't know why we bother, but we're all here and we're all together and somehow we'll get through it. JT, look at how Disney did The Force Awakens, says Divining Dragon. Just a retread of A New Hope. It was shockingly bad as well. RTD is following the tried and true practice of repeating an old formula. Yeah. And it's very, very obvious, isn't it?
Well, A New Hope.
Just that bit in the giggle with the Master's tooth and the hand coming down to pick up the tooth. It's like the Master's ring in the before the end of time, and it's like you're just doing it again. It's just boring,
A New Hope worked in 1977.
Yeah,
and what he tried in Series 1 worked in 2005, but we're in 2024. And as you've already said, JT, they've filmed it with an ethos and a worldview that's very TQIA cult orientated. Now that is virtually on the scrap heap, as it should be.
In the United Kingdom, there is. So
and
the world, we're coming for you. We're coming for you with it, I tell you.
So he's pitching it at something that is so far off the mark now because that's all he can do. He has to set everything literally in the equivalent of a sinky state somewhere. Like you said, all this is about Ruby Sunday. Doctor Who used to be about adventures and monsters.
Well, Doctor Who used to be about the Doctor.
Yeah, Jamie and Victoria or whoever would travel with the Doctor and get involved in these amazing adventures with these monsters on these planets and everything else. And now it's just, it's all about this companion and her life and all this and all that and all the other. And it's Jesus Christ.
But didn't we have that with Rose?
Yeah.
Rose Tyler? Because again, it just seems to be very similar to that setup in series one. I mean, you can see it coming, can't you? It's the same sort of thing, the same sort of character as well, in a sense. And the only thing he seems to have added to it now, Ian, is the fact she's adopted, therefore playing into the whole timeless child arc.
Yeah, yeah. But then Moffat did it, didn't he? Because there was a lot in the background of Amy, and then Clara, the impossible girl, and there was even a title sequence with her bloody face on it. And it's just like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Come on, just make it what it's supposed to be about, or make a different program with a different title about something else, and stop taking a dump on stuff that people actually like.
I do miss the days when Doctor Who was about the Doctor, a Time Lord in time and space, just battling monsters. I really, really do, because we are going down, it does seem, this whole soap opera element again that Russell loves, because he can write it, he can do it, and he devours it. You know, he loves all that nonsense. I've always said it's not Doctor Who. I really don't see how it can have it. It worked in series one because it had to bring in a general audience. But that general audience here in the UK very quickly turned around and said, hang on a minute, can we have some outer space stories and some monsters? You know, and that's why series two, they started to bring it in, because they actually heard the public, not the fans, but the public in Britain saying, no, Doctor Who doesn't go to a laundrette. Doctor Who goes around planets and battles Daleks and Cybermen. I think we're going to get that again, because even though there's 2 episodes being broadcast before the Eurovision, I can't see the public watching it. I think ITV are going to have to play this really, really well with something on the other side as an alternative. And they know the Eurovision was coming up, you know?
I hope the Doctor's not in a laundrette flashing his knickers, because that's just...
Well, with this particular incarnation, it wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me.
No, and Cybermatch Strikes is saying, what are we going to do if it ends up being the biggest, gayest, and most popular Doctor Who season 1 ever? Well, if it's the gayest, if it's the biggest and gayest one, I don't think that's going to be Doctor Who. And I'm speaking as a gay man. I won't be very happy at all with all this stuff, but it is coming in, because they say it's coming in, and we're going to come to that in a few minutes' time.
But it won't be gay, will it? It'll be trans, so it could be the biggest and tranniest.
Oh, the Q word.
Yeah, the Q. It won't be gay, because they've made it very clear that cult don't like gay people, do they?
No, not really. They don't really at all. Talking about binge watching, Russell did say he wants Doctor Who to be more of a Stranger Things type show. Now, yes, thank you, Douglas. This is something that Russell has said. He said it a while back as well, actually. He said that they were aware of things like Stranger Things and how big Stranger Things was when it was dropped onto Netflix, and that people could binge watch it. And they were aware of that. And he wanted Doctor Who to be more in that ilk. Do you remember when Doctor Who used to set the standards and everybody else used to follow Doctor Who? And now it seems to be following all the American programs. No offense ever to anybody from America that's watching, but this is where it seems to be. But Doctor Who for us in the United Kingdom, the original Doctor Who as well, it always led the field when it came to its ambition and its scope and its technology, because it was basically the testing bed for everything that you see today. It really, really was. And now it seems to be following everybody.
Yeah. It's really losing its uniqueness.
Yes.
And I think it started with the bioregeneration for me, to be honest. That's really lost its unique quality it had.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. And that worries me sometimes to think, hang on a minute, you know, other producers, other young people would grow up watching Doctor Who and be inspired. And now they're watching things like Stranger Things and stuff or whatever, and they're saying, we want Doctor Who to be like that. Well, Doctor Who and Stranger Things are not the same at all. They're two completely different ends of the science fiction and fantasy genre, aren't they, really?
At least Stranger Things, from what I can understand, have managed to get the rights to certain music to play in the programme anyway. But
Kate Bush. Kate Bush,
exactly.
Kate Bush, she's done really well out of that again.
Really
and
well,
introduced her to a brand new generation, which is very exciting, I think.
Yeah.
I've seen the first 3 series of Stranger Things. I've not seen the 4th one. And to be honest, I didn't mind it at all. It took a few episodes to grow on me, but I didn't mind it. Although I think in other things now, Millie Bobby Brown's got bloody irritating, but that's a separate issue. But ultimately, it is, well, the first 3 series were the same threat, just coming back in different ways. And it's a small community in a small town. And that's exactly what Russell T Davies is doing, isn't it? It's just all bang, slapped down to earth in normal environments and everything.
But that's what he's done before.
Yeah, and it's the same stuff. over and over.
Yeah, even Series 5 with Moffat taking over sort of followed the RTD template because they were a bit nervous about coming in and taking over as well, weren't they? Neville is saying, I think you're right, Paul. I think he is quietly very worried. That's RTD himself. I hope he is because he bloody well needs to be. Wayne, hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Evening all. Did I miss anything spicy? It's just the tip of the iceberg, my friend. Tip of the iceberg. Got lots more coming up both today and tomorrow at our regular time at 7:30 because they have given us so much to talk about over the last, 2 or 3 days. Absolutely incredible. Fan films are the future. They really are, Lex. Yes, and we've talked about them before, and we've got more coming up about the Doctor Who fan film that we've talked about recently, Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. We've got more about that over the weekend, so stay with us for all of that. What else have we got here coming up from you all in there? Divine Dragon is saying Disney will finance an abbreviated season 3, which kills off the Doctor. I'm still betting Gatwa hands the TARDIS key to Jason or Rose. That's just going too far. That's going far too far. Really, really is.
Don't give them ideas, please.
Why does the show always revolve around the companion, says Dalek, I love you. Exactly. It's called Doctor Who. The lead companion is called the Doctor. And, it's about time we return to that formula. Paul's joining us, everybody, the star of our latest Who's Master, along with Ian Cody W1. Paul is saying to us, this bold, incredible new era of Doctor Who, following the same devastating finale, the same writers, the same music, I presume, even old companions, RTD using the same old tropes yet again. Is anyone tired of it yet? And why can't people see through it? I just don't understand why some of these youngsters, I'm not trying to be bitter or old here, but I am in my 50s. Why are they so excited about seeing these people at this premiere and about this first episode? What is it about that that's catching them and it's not catching me?
The thing about it is it's weird about repeating tropes, so I'm going to go back to that. They did it with Elizabeth Slade and Sarah Jane. They're trying to almost, you think, emulate a little bit with Mel coming back. But as much as I adore Bonnie Langford, I don't think Mel's got the same kudos as Sarah Jane Smith.
No,
you know what I mean? So it's going to be quite a hard thing to repeat in that respect, don't you think?
Well, the character certainly hasn't as well. As I said before, I reckon the only reason they've brought Bonnie into this is because of her huge success in EastEnders. But that doesn't translate. The EastEnders viewers never really have come to Doctor Who. And sort of vice versa as well. There's a very small minority that cross over the two. But the way he's going with his writing, Doctor Who is now just it's another soap, really, isn't it? And we got away from that to an extent. Moffat made a couple of seasons where they got away from all that stuff and then backtracked a little bit, as you're saying, Ian, with Clara. And here we are going with it again. I can't comment on the Chibnall era. I don't know if it was a soap type element in that because I never watched a minute of it. What would you guys say it was soapy or not?
There was a bit of soap aspect, certainly with Ryan and his dad. There was bits of that were a bit soapy. And then, of course, Bradley Walsh's character as well, a bit of soap elements in that. Can you remember that? You're trying not to remember it, Ian. I know it's hard to look back and remember those things, but does that ring any bells to you?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was like, I don't know. I can't think of anything that I can say without swearing. Really, I don't want JT to get in trouble or be cross with me. The whole era was like having an enema with acid would probably feel, I imagine. So there was nothing. So there was nothing. I mean, the Ryan thing. They started him in his first episode. He's got dyspraxia. There's something that we can hang something on and make him interesting because
why would that be a real issue to talk about?
I think they just put it in. Let's put it in so there's something we can say about him. Is dyspraxia. Right, fine, so he can't ride a bike. Great. And
but they seemed to forget about that quite quickly, didn't they? Until
his last episode.
Until they remembered again. Yeah.
Well, see, that's the lack of skill of writing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They did this absolutely bloody awful. It was so, and they did it again at the end of that one set with the Dalek in the lockup garage thing, where right at the very end, he's trying to ride a bike again because he's shown shit all interest in it since his first episode. So it's his last episode. So there he is on the same bloody hill with his granddad again or whatever he was, and Bradley Walsh, let's just call it that. And he's off on his bike and boof on his face again, and it's all pan up to the sunshine. and there flies the TARDIS past.
You see, this is the nonsense, isn't it? I mean, that doesn't sound like science fiction to me. And Doctor Who is a science fiction show, whether they like it or not. And bringing all these hollow, shallow things. Again, it's not even about the Doctor, you know. And I know, I understand the balance, because you do, the companions are the stars, but they were always the stars as well as the Doctor.
Yeah.
So there has to be a balance, and they can get more out of companions, surely, especially ones that are Earth companions being thrown into an alien environment, literally an alien environment, far in the past where they might know something that's going to happen and they have to avoid it, or far in the future where they know nothing, and realizing that they could die, or realizing that they could be cybernized or something like this. I mean, there's a horror in science fiction, isn't there? And they just don't seem to do that. It seems to be all about, well, who lives next door and who's going to the laundrette and who's having chips. Blue Worm is saying to us here, I bet RTD's plan is using Doctor Who as a springboard to get into the US TV and movie industry. He keeps talking about such productions as being a template for his Bad Wolf projects. He's tried that before as well. But yeah, I mean, it could be. Stephen, hello to Stephen Braddock, who's joining us. Nice to see you, mate. Hi everyone, this is my first time in the live chat, but watched lots of episodes of Who's Views. Thank you very much, it's lovely to see you. I hope you've subscribed. I agree, I just watched Terror of the Autons. It's good classic storytelling and no agendas. That's what we need again today, isn't it? That sort of element there, Stephen. But yeah, lovely to see you. Thank you for commenting.
There was a plastic agenda there, wasn't there?
But it is brilliant.
Yeah, so,
Stephen's absolutely right, isn't it? I mean, you know, I totally agree with him. But the fact is, beginning, middle, end, and know what the essence of Doctor Who is. And the essence of Doctor Who isn't going around twerking, for crying out loud, Gatwa.
Really good characters and really good acting with a real sense of threat. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Beautiful. Yeah, and monsters that you're gonna get worried about, not some sort of gimmicky CGI slug.
Villain as well. Delgado's superb in Terror of the Autons. I remember watching behind the sofa with Sacha Dhawan watching it and saying, "Hey, he's not doing very much, is he?" That's the whole point. He's an actor doing subtlety, you know.
Yes, well, that's it. And the Master as well.
Yeah.
Loves being a villain. He loves being, I mean, he doesn't call himself evil, does he? He just calls himself just, you know, sort of a villain, and he knows it, and he loves it all. He just loves it because he can, because he's a Time Lord and everything else is beneath him. I'm
just impressed he can click his fingers with gloves on. That's such a skill. It really is.
But he genuinely doesn't care if he's evil, does he? Evil's not a thing to him. So he can walk there and he can stand still. That camera angle of him when he's got Rossini down on his knees sounds kinky, and I didn't mean it that way. But he grabs Rossini's wrist, does he? And he's on his knees, and you see that camera angle of him just looking down. He's hardly moved. And then you get Dhawan at the end of Shitika's episode, and he's there dancing to Ra Ra Rasputin, you know, by Boney M, and you just think, and you've got a Cyberman.
Well, again, that's a repeat. I don't know about that because I haven't seen it, but it sounds like a repeat of what happened with the Master in The Sound of Drums, was it?
Yeah, but the Scissor Sisters, exactly. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. It's all been done before, Ian.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything exciting or new here, and neither is Cybermat by the look of it. RTD introducing magic, myth, and legend into the Doctor Who universe will be using this as an excuse to not explain things.
Yeah.
Probably. Very probably. And yeah, we have had magic, myth, and legend in Doctor Who before, especially in the 70s, where it would come in occasionally. Time Monster.
Yeah.
Horns of Night.
The
Underworld.
You've got the Doctor and Olive Hawthorne. Magic, science. Magic, science, Miss Hawthorne. That's Doctor Who. Now
yes, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I wonder which god. You know.
Yeah. Oh dear. Thank you everybody for joining us this evening, and thank you all for your comments. They're all there. Let's have a look. Oh, and we were just touching on the subject of the Master there. Come back tomorrow because we will be talking about that news that dropped today. So come back tomorrow for headlines tomorrow, 7:30. Here on this very channel, Who's Views. We will be talking about that. JFO is saying to us, saw a trailer today on Twitter, which was a Disney ad of the new series. Ncuti was in the Tales of the TARDIS interior. Is RTD making Tales of the TARDIS canon? Now, Paul, you saw something like this as well, didn't you, with JFO?
Yeah, well, I was going to put a spoiler in front of this, but it doesn't matter. It's been spoiled already. But yes, there's a new trailer that's come out, and I think it's been leaked, or someone's found access to it somewhere. I don't know. But it says Doctor Who starting next Friday, so it's meant to come out obviously the Monday before the Friday, and it's got a shot that wasn't in the trailer we've seen already of Ncuti crouching in the doorway of the TARDIS, and normally behind him is the new console room. But in this recent trailer, you can see the set from the memory TARDIS from Tales of the TARDIS. So I wonder what's going on there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it just sounds crap, doesn't it?
Oh, my goodness. It sounds like desperation. If it's not just for the trailer, because bear in mind, it could have been done before the big scale TARDIS set had been completed. I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But if they're bringing in that memory TARDIS thing for series 2,
you can see all the mismatch of the bits of the different console rooms, with the time rotor on the ceiling, and the big light from Unearthly Child, and bits of his set and all that kind of all mashed together. So it's the same set in the background, which sounds just a bit naff, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think the memory TARDIS thing was a bit naff. It was nice to see old companions, and it was obviously the MacGuffin to bring them all together.
Yeah,
but I do like, there was a post earlier, and I really agreed with it. I can't remember who posted it, so whoever it was, sorry, but they said how they didn't like how old companions were brought in to legitimize the new rubbish, and I think that was in reference to Bonnie. But I feel they're very much the same way, and I didn't like it in Whittaker's final episode when you saw Colin and Sylvester and Peter Davison and things like that. But also right at the very end, where you had that support group for ex-Doctor companions, and there was Ian Chesterton there, and Katie Manning, Joe Grant, and everything, and you just think, oh God, they're infesting back to Hartnell, and they're infesting through my beloved Pertwee. But although, hang on though, she's got 8 billion bloody incarnations before Hartnell, so why aren't there any from there? There were none, strangely, because it was bollocks. But bringing old people in just to sort of like rubber stamp this new abomination was quite painful.
Well, to be honest, it was more because of the fact that particular episode of Doctor Who was supposed to celebrate 100 years of the BBC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the only reason they brought back the old Doctors was because they were a huge part of the original BBC, if you like, and so were their companions. So I think that was that. I think had it not been a special to celebrate 100 years of the BBC, I don't think they would have been there. I think it had just been the fact that, oh, well, it's another episode to see out this team and the team on screen. I don't think they would have been in it, but they tied it in with the centenary, didn't they?
The bizarre thing about that episode was it's maybe Jodie's last episode, and she hardly featured in it, did she, to be honest? Yeah. So
there's probably reasons for that.
There probably is, yeah. But I think the bits of the old Doctors and the bits of the old companions was the best bit of the whole episode, to be
absolutely fair. At this point, we do have to say a huge happy birthday. 61 years old today is Russell T. Davis. I know you're watching, so happy birthday to you. What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You know, you had one job, bring us all back together. You've not done it. Good luck to you.
To quote Sarah Jane Smith, you blew it. You blew it.
Yeah. Glenn is with us, pointing the same thing out as well. Hello, Glenn. On the official Doctor Who Facebook page, it says happy birthday to Russell T. Davis. And here is a flashback to the biggest finale on planet Earth, and it's Stolen Earth with Davros. Did they really? Oh, they'll get told off for that by tomorrow morning, I'll say. Divine Dragon is saying here, it's lost its identity and it is pandering to the American audience. I think they're desperate to try and make it a hit in America, DD. I really do. And I don't think it's going to be.
I think they're trying too hard. That's the problem.
I just don't think they're even going for a general audience. I mean, the American markets are so volatile for British shows. And yet look at the British shows that have been hugely popular over there, from 40 Towers to Little Britain.
Yeah.
You know, even Doctor Who became a cult because it was they were Doctor Who especially became a success because it was open to everybody. Now it's not. As somebody said earlier on, you forgot the fans. So if we're not going to get into this, the majority of fandom again, the public aren't going to go with it either, are they? Let's face it.
I still don't understand the conceit of this. Whether they can't just have us as well and build a new audience at the same time. Why can't they do that?
Because they're only looking for a particular audience again, aren't they? They're looking for the people that think like them. And for those of us that don't think like them, you will think like us.
That's the thing. They're talking about inclusion, but then they're they're making us excluded. That seems a bit bizarre.
But as I say, you know, here in the UK, those days are coming to an end. I'm actually sure about that. And they're the ones that are going to be proven to be absolutely incorrect. We already know about that through the cash report. There's much more to come on the back of that, I am sure. Let's have a look. Richard is saying to us here, imagine space fleets in parking orbits lining up for their chance to end the universe. Every day, metronomic. This creates boredom and numbness to the spectacular. See, this is what they try to make Doctor Who spectacular, and Doctor Who isn't spectacular really, because Doctor Who is about a Time Lord, a bloke usually, and should be a bloke, in his TARDIS, traveling time and space, fighting monsters. It shouldn't be that spectacular.
I think the problem is, ever since 1977. Since Star Wars arrived, everything's gone bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And prior to that, Doctor Who did smaller scale. And then Doctor Who itself tried to compete with that. But I think you need to have alternate weeks where you can have maybe one space opera and the next week it's just in a small cottage with a ghost or something. You know, that's all you need. You don't have to have spaceships every week, do you?
Well, that was the beauty, in a sense, of having a British budget.
Yeah.
Because you had to be British, and you had to think, what am I going to do with 50 pence and a roll of sticky tape? You know, hello to Talons of Wayne Chiang. Nice to see you, mate. Hope you are well. And Lex is saying to us, have you seen the poster of the Doctor with the Beatles? It looks awful. The actors don't even look like the Beatles. Again, please come back tomorrow for headlines. We're going to be talking about that particular story then. What else we got here? Limykins is with us. Hello, Limykins. It wasn't a bi-generation. It was a birth, so that they can insert a childlike, immature Doctor without the previous baggage. So they can lecture to us the messages that they want to. It certainly gets the impression that I know where you're coming from, that this is a spin-off Doctor. And yet our Doctor, the one that we loved for nigh on 60 years, is in Chiswick.
Yeah. Living in his own house that he bought from unit wages.
Which is just nonsense. And a bit of bit of fan fiction that Russell's obviously picked up from, you know, the lovely BBC audios, the Nest Cottage series, or maybe even the books, or something like that. You know, I don't know, but I just don't like the idea of us being told, well, your Doctor's gone and this Doctor's here now. Well, what? It's very convoluted, and it just shows the lack of ability to write from him now.
I know I keep saying this, but he's coming back. He's coming back.
Yeah. Divining Dragon is saying, JT, people can see through. I think they can. Yeah, I think you're right here. And he's also pointing out, look at the reduced viewing numbers. Again, it's going to be a fact now that they are now almost admitting that the viewing figures don't matter anymore, do they? They really don't matter now, because what's happening, it's going to be all about the views on iPlayer. But as we've been saying all the time, the iPlayer is open to people outside the UK. They are not reliable. It doesn't mean that the people of Britain are watching it.
Because they're doing like a simulcast, whatever it's called, it's going to be dropped all around the world. They won't count it just the BBC. They'll count it worldwide. So it'll be 400 million every week.
It's going to be ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah.
I just want to say to Mysterious Stranger 42, we're not that desperate, are we? Because he's saying to us that they need to bring Adric back. I love you, Matthew.
I thought Chibnall would have brought Adric back, but he didn't. I'm quite surprised. Yeah.
Okay. Adric would have been way too cerebral for Chibnall.
Yeah. And what we got here, Jeremy Walker. It's nice to see Jeremy. What you're saying to us, RTD said in 2005 that he couldn't identify with the Doctor. The companion and their view of the adventures was more interesting to him, hence the Rose storyline. He did. I remember him saying that. I remember thinking at the time that's an interesting twist. But I think after the first year, it was done, quite frankly, because it's been going on and on and on. And I think the only time they really got it right, Jeremy, I don't know what you think about this, was the Doctor Donna relationship, the Doctor and Donna, which was very much Donna on a level, really, in a sense, with the Doctor. She wasn't taking any of the nonsense, and she wasn't falling in love with him. She just wanted to actually get her hands on the TARDIS and go somewhere. Good old-fashioned companion there. She wasn't even bothered about going home that often, was she, really, like the rest of the Wimps, companions? So, you know, it's, yeah, I know that. But you know what? That's the beauty, isn't it? If you're writing it properly, and you've got an actor that can portray the Doctor. I mean, as a kid, I never identified with the Doctor, really, because I always wanted to be his companion. And my Doctor, of course, was Tom. So who wouldn't? Really? Who wouldn't want that crazy guy with the scarf coming to pick you up and take you off in time and space? Absolutely, you know.
Although in that era, it would probably more likely have been Jimmy Savile, but we won't go there.
Oh, we won't go on to that one.
You said about Donna, and she was the one that didn't really want to keep going home all the time, but she was the one that we didn't mind because we loved Wilf.
Yeah.
You know, there was that additional character. Now, if Ruby goes back to a flat, who gives a crap? You know, Clara, when she went home, who cared? But when
although
Donna
I think the actor who played the kind of adopted Nana character in Church and Ruby Road was quite comical. She maybe not got as much potential as Bernard Cribbins, but who knows?
Do you know what? I can't really remember it, and it was only a few months ago. I can't remember it at all. I mean, do I have to for the next series? Very probably, but I'm not watching it again. Stephen is saying to us here, I love Stranger Things. Yeah, so do I actually. I'm a bit bored with it now, though, Stephen. Are you? I'm sort of, because they drag it on and on and on over years and years and years. The kids are now young adults. I can't be arsed with them anymore, to be honest. I love Stranger Things, says Stephen. He says, getting back to the point. But it's a completely different show to Doctor Who. Doctor Who should be leading, not following.
Yeah.
There we have it. It should. It always did, and it should. And Ecstatic Brick, it's lovely to see you. Bradley Walsh should have been the Doctor. He would have been a very good Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Well, they did that in Jodie's era. When Stephen Fry meets him, they thought he was the Doctor, and then later on, Captain Jack thought he was the Doctor as well. So they had a bit of really rubbish mileage out of that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know anything about that. Well, then I wouldn't, would I? Right, Jack is with us as well. Hi, Jack. If John Pertwee were here, I think he politely declined to participate in any of this. He'd possibly be doing Big Finish and Fan Project. Yeah, he would do things like that, and he would love all that. He would have his own view on what to do, and they would have to follow that in a similar way that Tom sort of I think does as well. But I don't think he'd be a fan of where it is now at all, to be perfectly honest. Okay. RTD says Talons of Wayne Chiang, and it's lovely to see you, by the way. Stands for Ruin the Doctor. We're getting a lot of that. Keep them coming because we can use them. RTD did bring us back together, says Dividing Dragon, no, but just not on the terms he'd enjoy. The problem is, Richard, who's saying to us, we are included now. We are included out. He knows it, and they know it, and they still think they're right, and they still think that this is going to be the best thing ever, and everybody's going to be loving it. And you know, it's obviously it's obviously don't watch the Tube of Who, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. They must. I mean, if they're not aware of how sections of fandom feel about it, they've got I know they've got the head in the sands anyway, or that they're arses either way you look at it. But they're just not looking at it. But they can't avoid it. Surely, you know what I mean? I
don't know. You are watching Who's Views. This is Headlines. Nice to see you. Don't forget to please like the video and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got lots coming up for you in May, which also happens to be our first birthday. We're going to be talking more about that over the weekend, and as we get into it, first birthday, I can't quite believe it, but that's all coming up for you in May as we delve into this new version of Doctor Who. The Radio Times has already started to delve into this new version of Doctor Who as well in its print form. As we know from this show, it's been going on radiotimes.com for a little while, but the print form this week has this particular article in it for you. The Time Lord is about to land, Doctor Who exclusive. New Time Lord Ncuti Gatwa kicks off his first Doctor Who series with a 2-episode launch this May, and whilst this run is being rebranded as Season 1, or Series 1 as it should be really, around the world, despite the show's recent 60th birthday, fans apparently shouldn't expect massive changes. It's the same old Doctor Who in many ways, series boss Russell T Davies tells Radio Times. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, I'm just going to make it spin better. Look at
this. You remember that Carry On film? Was it Carry On Cleo? And they've got the square wheels. That's what the wheels like now. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Oh, do you know what? I want to watch that now. Hi everybody. No, I love that film. Don't mention that because I want to go and watch it. Well, continue on this one here. Izigo is incredible, isn't it? It's going to and fro in history. We'll go into the 60s, and there's an episode in 1813, and others on modern day Earth, which are always my favorites. There it is, everybody. And there are gorgeous alien planets, which we have an increased budget to show on a bigger scale. I thought they did quite well previously, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And as ever, the series will be stuffed with aliens, villains, and monsters, kicking off with the bogeyman stalking a creepy space station. A good old-fashioned scary Doctor Who monster, Davis says. Well, we will be the judge of that, won't we, Who viewers? Followed by a music-based baddie called Maestro in the second story, played by Jinx Monsoon. And don't we know it? Again, I'll point out I really don't like the terminology here, but I'm going to read it out. She's part of this pantheon of gods with enormous powers, Davis says. I think Doctor Who is all the more exciting when the enemy is impossible to beat, and this is someone changing all of time and space around them. And that's just for starters, Radio Times continues. In a later episode, there's a race of bird creatures, Davies says. They're all different designs, different makeups, and there's a mysterious creature, an enemy in episode 4 that it's impossible to describe. You'll see what I mean. It's all heading towards a magnificent season finale. I believe in finales being huge and massive and terrifying and glorious and marvelous. So I added those in. And all the stakes being raised. And we've really done it with this one.
Yes. Are you excited yet?
What a load of old shit.
So that's the start of the Radio Times coverage. Now, it's said in the Radio Times that next week there is more Doctor Who Radio Times coverage, and then the week after there is more. But I just want to point out to anybody that does not know, the Radio Times is this thin now, and it's £4.50 a week. £4.50 a week.
Outrageous.
Are you going to buy the Radio Times with a Doctor Who cover or 3 or 4 of them? £4.50 just to look at the telly. There are other magazines available, obviously, which are cheaper and are going to cover the same thing and have the same press releases, more or less. You know, it's up to you. £4.50 a week, though. I thought that was horrendous. You know, would you guys pay for that?
No, I did buy the one that came out for the 60th, and that was enough, to be fair. But it's just bizarre that the coverage doesn't sound very exciting. It's like they're obviously trying to create interest, but it's not that exciting at all. I mean, if we're not excited as fans, what's Joe Public going to think? I mean, on the one show last night, I watched it back last night after our show, and one of the presenters said, "There's no Daleks in this season, is there?" And both Ncuti and Millie went, "No." You know, like that. So it's probably, I think they're coming, but they're just trying to make it more exciting. Yeah. The Daleks with legs are coming. So yeah.
I think they were probably trying to be on the fence because you know that Russell's going to be off over there, and he said the Daleks are going to have a long rest. So when Nathan Turner once said that, and look what happened. So I think he's right to do that, but also because the Daleks are problematic. Yeah. You put the Daleks in there, and they are going to offend some people, some of these young idiots, you know, who get offended by all sorts of nonsense, because all the Daleks do are exterminating people. That's all they do. They're just bubbles of hate. That's a real hate thing. The Daleks are really hate. Yeah. I'm worried about them actually trying to bring the Daleks back in, because I think he'll have them all singing and dancing and prancing around, going, exfoliate or something.
Yeah, I'd rather the Daleks were never seen again on Doctor Who, certainly in this incarnation anyway, because they won't be done with any kind of seriousness. It'll just be something else that's embarrassing, really.
Oh, totally. This is where the Radio Times doesn't help itself with what Jack's saying here. No, I can't believe it. £4.50 a week. Who's buying that? Jack is saying to his merchandise sales will still be in the toilet good luck selling figures of Jinx Monsoon, toys of that dumb Sonic device, and 15th Doctor annuals. Watch out for us when we do Who's Views Merchandise Paradise, of course, everybody, because reluctantly we probably will look at some of the new series stuff when it comes to pricing, especially the action figures that are coming as well, because I've heard rumors, as you would have known if you saw the show last night, that the action figures are going to be anywhere between £19 and £25 each. Let's see if that's going to be true. I'd rather have been the companions as Divining Dragon, not the Doctor, though in my acting days I'd have loved to have been the Master. The Master's a beautiful part to play, actually. Really, really is. And Nathan's asking us, hi all, hello Nathan, how will they fix the show? Is there hope? I'm going to go out first on that one and say no. I think its time is done, and I think it needs to come off.
I think that it's too late now. Even with the re-editing or reshooting stuff to sort of damage limited, I don't think they can manage now. I think it's 2 and out. That's it.
I would say that you do a single one-off standalone TV film, 90 minutes, 120 minutes, something like that, with a completely new Doctor, serious Doctor, done properly the old way. And you wrap up Whittaker and Gatwa as being some kind of, whilst having a completely divorced story that shows that it could actually be good, you make it very clear that that was some kind of parallel that wasn't relevant. So you keep some legitimacy and then end it for good, and just keep it in books or whatever focused on the classic series. But on television, I think it's dead.
I think it needs a really good rest. I was saying this at the time in 2020 when I was hearing that it was coming off the air. I was like, good, because it needs it, and it needs to ride through all this nonsense that's going on in showbiz, which we are seeing now, and we're going to be talking about it more over the weekend. Because Doctor Who's not about that, is it? And when all these alleged progressive, extreme left-wing ideological liberals are coming into this and they're pushing this, we've seen this since 2018, haven't we? We've seen the destruction of the show, and I think we're going to get more of it. But we will be talking about that as we start to watch this nonsense. Talents of Wayne Chiang is saying to us, never cared to know anything about the companions' private lives or families. I just want to see the Doctor and his companion having adventures in space together. No mums, no dads, no boyfriends, etc. Totally with you there, Talons. Yeah, really am. And JFO is saying to us, Ncuti's Doctor is meant to have left the emotional baggage with Tennant. Yet we have all seen Ncuti's Doctor cry twice in the Christmas episode and once in the trailer. Should be rare seeing the Doctor cry. Absolutely, because again, it humanizes him. And what they forget, in my eyes, Who viewers, is that the Doctor is not a human being. He's a Time Lord. He's from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Kasterborous. He doesn't have the emotions of a human being, as we have seen masterfully, especially with the original Doctors. You know, I just don't understand this insistence. And we also said in one of our headline shows that Ncuti was actually bringing more of the human side to the Doctor. What are they doing? I'm really dreading these reviews.
I think the trouble is Doctor Who now, in the public's eyes, is a bit of a joke now.
It certainly is in Britain, isn't it?
Yeah, and the way it was a little bit in the late 80s when before it came off, it became a bit of a joke in the public's eyes, which is a shame because some good stuff in the 80s. But I think we're now at the stage we're going to get back to who will be the Doctor. And if Paul Daniel was still alive, he'd be in the running for it again. You know, that's
it's going to be all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be what's his name? That stupid woke comedian, the gay one, or however he calls himself. You know, the one that's always stupid. No, not him. He's too old. It's the younger one. The one that is I can't remember his name. Is it Joe something? I can't remember.
Joe Lycett?
Yes, that's him. Yeah, the one with the idiot, the idiot one. It'd be people like him next in the running for all this, isn't it? You know, and in with a chance now because they're all part of the TQ cult. I would like to say hello to Mike C32001. It's nice to see you. It's called Bait and Switch. This is a long way from the same old Doctor. Yep, it is. It really is. I mean, this is now RTD's vision of Doctor Who, isn't it? For what he feels is society. Remember, that's the reason he got rid of Davros, because society has changed, which was an insult, I feel, to society, because none of us thought the way he did. It's you and your ilk with the problems, not us. The minority always have the problems, don't they? Every single one of them. They've created these issues. They've created these blooming massive big, what's it called? Issues that they want to fight. They've created them. It's absolutely ridiculous. It really, really is. Jacob is saying to us, Radio Times sales have fell nearly 40% between 2016 and 2023. And it's no wonder with that ridiculous price point. Yeah, I had heard they were nearly at cancellation point once. I think you're right. I mean, goodness me. £4.50 a week.
I think that's why in the sort of early 2005 upwards, they kept doing all those multiple covers to make some money, because you'd buy, like, people would buy 2 or 3 copies of different covers of Doctor Who magazine, Doctor Who Radio Times covers rather, and that's how they made their money, I'm sure.
Well, you couldn't do what they did with the 50th now, because there's billions of the buggers on the front of the cover, and I think it'd be mad to try and do it. Do you know what I mean? They also did it for the 40th, didn't they, with some where they were all linked together. Stephen, yes, now this is a great point. So now we know that Jinx Monsoon is not playing the Master. He is playing the Maestro, which is part of a pantheon of gods. Again, we're getting a pantheon of gods. We've had the gods for Ragnarok. And as Stephen is saying here, I don't agree with all-powerful villains facing the Doctor. Sutekh was so memorable because he was a god, but a one-off, which is why he was such a terrible threat. Yeah, I mean, I get the point that over there, outside, time and space and all this sort of stuff, there in science fiction, there are always things that we're never going to understand, are we? I mean, it's part of the horror, but this isn't a horror show anymore. It's not even going to borderline on horror, is it, for what we can tell, Stephen? So what do you all think about the fact now that Jinx Monsoon, he is playing a god? What, the god of music? That was somebody else, wasn't she? I mean, come on. I mean, I know we have to watch this, but I've judged it, Who viewers. You'll know that. It's going to be crap. I've judged it. It's going to be absolute nonsense. And I'm quite happy to come back on this show and say it's going to be nonsense if it is. But what do we think of this? Here's another pantheon of gods as a threat, and Jinx Monsoon is leading it.
Well, I think if that's the best you can get in terms of gods, we're all doomed. But I think that it just makes the threat too powerful. As I said about Sutekh. Sutekh was a one-off that worked really well. But if you have all of these gods, the Doctor can't deal with that because he's not that powerful. He's not meant to be that powerful. He uses his wits to defeat these people, the same way he did with Sutekh, with the TARDIS control, and sent him back through time. I mean, that he can do that. But if all these gods come, he can't defeat them, can he? Really?
You don't know whether or not he was testing the waters a little bit when he did the Impossible Planet, and you had that, was it the devil or not, or whatever.
The demon, yeah.
He talked about religion as he was descending into the pit and stuff. And I think that, to be quite honest, that leaving that element of mystery, it was never called a god or a demon or anything else. It was just that thing. And leaving it as unknown is probably good, but it looks like he's going to double down on it and go completely off the deep end with it, which is ridiculous, really. But that's Russell T Davies these days.
I'm not so surprised that he's put his friend here, Jarek, in this role and made him into a god. I'm going to be watching this, Who viewers, very carefully, because if this was a role that could have been played by a woman, I will be calling this out. It's as simple as that. Because I want to know why an act who is known to be playing a drag act, I want to know why the drag act has been hired to play the role. Does that make sense to you all?
Yeah, it's a bit like getting Barry Humphries in to play as Dame Edna, isn't it, really, to be honest?
Yeah,
Barry Humphries playing Dame Edna, playing the Maestro. This is exactly the same thing. So this is Jarek playing Jinx Monsoon, playing the Maestro. And if this is a female character, I think that's going to cause some criticism.
It should do, because he's very big on only gay people play gay roles, only trans people play trans roles, but apparently anybody can play a woman's role.
Well, I think he's bent the rule now, isn't he? Because I'm sure we're going to be seeing some trans women playing women.
I think the bent is the wrong expression. It's broken now. Surely he's broken his rule. Definitely. He says what suits himself, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he certainly has no consistency, does he, really, on this one? But we now know that Jinx Monsoon playing the Maestro, and this is Jarek, obviously, playing Jinx Monsoon, playing the Maestro. Gosh, it gets confusing. Yes, see episode 2, The Devil's Chord, which we will be reviewing as well. Both of these episodes are being back-to-back on the iPlayer, as you know, on Disney Plus outside of the United Kingdom, and on BBC One on the Saturday. 2 hours of it before 12 million hours of the Eurovision.
With an appearance from the bootleg Beatles as well.
Yeah. And we are talking about them tomorrow on Headlines. Yeah. I want to say a huge welcome to Lisa Rance, who's found us. Hello, Lisa. It's nice to see you. I'm so glad I found this channel. John Pertwee and Katie Manning's era is my favourite, as was the peak in Doctor Who for me. Third Doctor Ian here will be very happy about that, because that's his favourite. we've all got some time for John and Katie, and we absolutely fabulous there, fabulous stories, and what a relationship those two had without the need to get down to his boxer shorts.
Well, he did have a shower and spear from space, didn't he? To be fair.
Yeah. Fair enough, though. It was a new body, wasn't it? Garbage is asking us here, does anyone know when the Ncuti Sonic will be released? Yes, it's down for the summer. I haven't got a particular note here. It was either June or July, but watch out for MP Live here on this channel, because we will be talking about it as soon as we have them. What else have we got here in the chat? It's nice to see you all. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It would be fabulous if we got to 600 and more for our birthday month, which is next month, May. And I'd like to know there's many of you as possible coming to support me through the reviews of this blooming awful thing we're going to do. Quite frankly. I don't want to be on my own.
We're going to have a laugh.
Oh, I don't know. You know what? As I keep saying, everybody, if it's good, I'm going to say so. But if it's bad, I'll rip it to bits. And it's not looking good so far, is it, everybody?
I think everyone's hoping it's really bad just to rip it to bits, surely. But
Xman577 is also with us, and he's saying, "Hello, everybody. The next season of Doctor Who will be most likely be unwatchable." That's what I mean. I mean, the trailers don't sell it at all, do they? Really? I don't know. For me, I just think, oh gosh, a bit boring. Just nothing there at all. Okay, so we've got all that. So yes, that's where we're up to there. Now, of course, as I say, the publicity, this is all part of the first part, really, of the publicity for this thing coming back. It also hit with BBC social media as well, showing these pictures where Ncuti and Millie returned to Abbey Road and held up the traffic for a little while as they crossed that blooming zebra crossing. Do you know, I used to hate driving through that. I used to try and avoid it like the plague at one point when I had to go near that area, because you cannot get past that blooming zebra crossing because the tourists repeating the album cover. You know, and there's so many beeps, beeps, beep, beep. And the BBC have been doing it a lot recently, haven't they? So these were there. I mean, now one thing I want to ask you about, I like this outfit. Why didn't they put him in a version of this? This is really nice. And it suits him, you know?
But what the bloody hell is Millie wearing there, though? Christ almighty, what is that?
Well, we'll go back.
What is that?
You know, I just wish, you know, why is there a bus? Why isn't there ever a bus with brakes if you want it?
Well, the bus, I can tell you, I can answer this. This bus here in these pictures, everybody, was patrolling. It was running. It's an old route master, one of the London route masters. The old-fashioned red buses, for those of you out the UK, they're iconic. You will know them. They've been retired for years, basically. You know, it's all modern, trendy, bendy, crappy things now. Oh, kill you. Anyway, going off again. But this was a route master that was going around London and all day promoting Doctor Who. Let's have a look at it, because if you can just see that on the front of the bus, you can see the 60s inspired poster there. So this is their bus. Now, there was nobody on it for the whole day, but it went around all of London for the entire day. So you can see pictures of it on their social media outside the Houses of Parliament, outside the BBC, up Westminster Bridge, Trafalgar Square, Tower of London, all the usual touristy bits. And it just drove round and round and round, and not one bloody Londoner noticed.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody on it apart from the poor driver and possibly somebody to keep him company. But here's the second half of that. This is when they got to the BBC on the right-hand side there, as you can see. So, yes, quite nice pictures, but I prefer the look of Ncuti there. I think that's more doctory. I would have him in either the jumper on the left or a shirt for the doctor. I know he doesn't like shirts because he doesn't like collars, but I think that silhouette there, the double-breasted sort of 1980s suit look, I think that's more Doctor than anything I've seen him in so far. What do you think, everybody?
I think that's definitely better, yeah. Russell made a great effort to dress up, didn't he?
He always does. Him and Moffat, they're always in the same thing, aren't they? They earn millions.
Yeah.
And they're always in the same tatty outfits.
When it was, sorry to digress, but when it was the Cardiff concert, if you go across from the venue and down a bit towards the shore, there's quite a nice pizza place. We were sat having some food in there, and Moffat walked past on his way to the venue, and I did a double take. I thought it was a tramp. He was literally quite dishevelled, stubbly, scruffy, big overcoat on and everything. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's Moffat. But yeah, they don't really make an effort.
No, those two don't. And it's probably what whole thing about saying, well, we're behind the scenes. Well, they're not. Those two have been very prolific, so I don't know. Lisa is saying to us, I hope this breaks the BBC record for less than 1 million overnight views. But yeah, do you know, even if it does, that's not the figure that's going to get publicized now, Lisa. It's all going to be about the iPlayer. How many views it got? How many views did it get? It was huge because it got 25 million views. And it's so rigged, the iPlayer, Lisa. If you haven't seen previous editions of Headlines, go on, because you'll see me kicking off about them. If you've got a few hours to spare, that is. But
some genuinely think it isn't rigged, don't they? But it seriously is.
Well, it's because the iPlayer can't be trusted. One thing is, as I keep saying, you can't prove to me it's the general public of Britain watching this. Secondly, we know for a fact that the minority of fans that are watching this go back and watch it over and over and over and over and over. And because it's a week, and now they've got 2 episodes on the one night and I know they're all a bit annoyed because it's midnight, but they can go and watch it over and over and over, both of them there within 1 week, and it counts as a view. And thirdly, as we always keep saying, if you are outside the UK, you can access the BBC iPlayer, even though technically you shouldn't be. And why wouldn't you? Why would you pay for Disney Plus if you can get into the iPlayer? They haven't thought about this at all. I'd like to say hello to, now I'm saying your name right, it's Yokai63. Welcome to Who's Views. Let's see what you're saying to us. Reboot the whole series and ignore everything after the 8th Doctor. Oh, you're on my page. Forget the new Who reboot years. Make him a mysterious stranger again, an eccentric scientist, and not a silly pantomime character. I am with you, Yokai63.
Bring back Paul McGann. That's what I say. Yeah.
Well, I think it's too late for that now, personally. But yeah, I'm with you there. I would do that as well. I would try and forget everything that's done and reboot the whole thing completely. Welcome to Who's Views. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We would really, really appreciate that. But nice to see you. Keep commenting as it comes through. Maestro is a male title, says Richard. Well, that's because he's a man. He's a bloke. Jacob RM is saying, I see Russell also described Jinx's character as a deity with daddy issues, whatever the hell that means. Did he? That's scary.
Yeah, I'm not heard that quote. I have to say.
Yeah. Well, if that's true, it's not actually surprising either, is it? With all what they all suddenly believe in. The Doctor, says Dalek, I love you, is more or less a god now as well, thanks to all the nonsense of changing his origins. Good point.
I was going to say that deity with daddy issues. Maybe we'll have a Jerry Springer type episode. That'd be interesting.
I wouldn't put them past that either. The Doctor and Millie with some alien on one of those talk shows. I mean, look how they finished off the first series with Eccleston, for heaven's sake.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that so much, but it was a bit silly. Atom is joining us. Atom, hello to you. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for your 5 Doctor set pictures. We showed it at the beginning of the show, love. Superb. So when we're finished, you can go back and watch it again. And push up our viewing figures. Fabulous. Fabulous. Right, we've got all that there. Oh, look at everybody that's here. Thank you so much. Oh, look at this. Stephen is saying to us, by the way, thanks for your review of the Ruins of Skaro set. You convinced me to buy one.
Yay.
Yeah, we should be on commission. Who's Views 1@gmail.com character.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Jack is saying to us, people are saying bring back Moffat or Chibnall. For God's sake, can we get in some fresh creators? It's like being stuck in some insane limbo. I totally agree. Yeah. That's why I'm saying, Jack, this thing needs to come off the air for a good few years.
It's quite a sad state of affairs that we're calling for Chibnall to come back. That's really quite sad.
I certainly am not doing that. I've seen some fans doing it. X-Men is saying to us it's going to be a train wreck. It already is. And Douglas Smith is saying to us, I think Russell needs to humble himself. He's not the writer he used to be. Totally agree with that one. So that was the publicity drive. No pun intended. Ending with the bus going around London and nobody really noticing. It didn't certainly get any coverage in the newspapers from what I can tell. And I did look. So they've wasted some money there on a route master going around London. People in London don't care and they don't look at buses because they're so used to them. They don't look at them.
It's quite a low-key thing to do for publicity, don't you think?
I think it's a very lazy thing to do for publicity. Yeah. You know, it's as though they've just ticked a box there and said, oh, we did this.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know, but yes, Russell T Davies.
I guess remember like all the big billboards and stuff for season 1 originally in 2005. Big billboards, big push, lots of big trailers, fantastic stuff. But this is
Big
like
online
we're a bit embarrassed. Let's just do it quietly, shall we? Yeah.
Well, we're still a couple of weeks away. We might get something like the online countdown as well, Ian. They might start pushing things daily on BBC One, but it's all about the iPlayer. It's all about that. And they can't put adverts and trailers on the iPlayer, really, can they? Because, you know, it doesn't work the same way as Disney Plus. But yeah, listen, this is a new picture that was published here of Russell T Davies. There he is on set, looking very pleased with himself as per usual. And that brings us on.
He does have that smug look, doesn't he? He just, you know, I'm not advocating violence or anything like that, but you do want to punch him, don't you? He is smug. He's smug, and as if he definitely thinks he's the smartest one in the room.
Oh, he totally does. But do you know what? The fact is that everybody around him is kissing his ass and making him. And we've got lots to talk about with that, actually. Coming up for you. So Dr. Once, before we get on to the next story, Dr. Once, the best publicity was the countrywide bus tour in series 5, when Matt and Karen visited schools across the country and they had screenings. They did. I actually met Matt and Karen on one of those when they turned up in Manchester at Salford Quays, and they were delightful. I must admit, at the time, I was like, who is this Matt Smith? I'd seen him in that politic thing, which I quite enjoyed that drama, and because he left that, they didn't do the second series, so I was quite miffed because it ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. And I thought, he's an interesting actor, but that's all I knew him from. And I was a bit, oh god, they've gone young again, as some of us did. But when that bus, that beautiful series 5 bus, turned up at Salford Quays, bearing in mind that none of the children that were there had seen him as the Doctor yet, he got off the bus dressed nicely as well, as Matt Smith does. He had the hair going, he had a long blue overcoat on, boots over his jeans, because that was the trend at the time. I got the sonic screwdriver out and he went, whoa! And the kids were there in the palm of his hand immediately, even though none of them had seen, and he was magical. And I watched this man, this young man, and I went, what a performer. And that's when I started to get a little sort of crush on this new Doctor, because I just thought, oh, I can't wait to see. Now, I didn't go in to see the episode, The 11th Hour, which apparently had the Tennant titles and all this sort of stuff on it, because theirs weren't finished. But the kids came out raving. Oh, did you see this bit? Did you see this bit? And then I heard something about a snake. And I was like, shut up! Yeah. You know, but they were brilliant. And I got to speak to Matt and Karen very quickly there, because they had to go on to their next venue. And they were charming. So thanks for that memory there. That was lovely. Absolutely lovely to remember that. Yeah, but that was a good one, because it did get local press and the national press on it. And it was a great book.
I remember at the same time that we're doing publicity for the 3D trailer, and a couple of occasions where I stay, they had some big screens up and they had people dressed as scarecrows. Not scarecrows.
That's right, the Cybermen.
And Cybermen and things like that, and it was fantastic. And I've got a few photographs I need to dig out to show you of myself and my friend.
I went to that because it had a big inflatable rubber type stage where they did the show, wasn't it? Because they could bring that down and put it on the bus and go with the screen. Keep your chats coming, actually, everybody. But as I say, this is Russell T Davies, and that leads us on to this particular story. Doctor Who regenerates, how Ncuti Gatwa's historic casting, here we go again, folks, Russell T Davies' return, and a Disney Plus deal revolutionized the franchise. Now, this is from Variety, and I don't know if you've seen any of this. Let's crack on. Are you ready? Oh, this is a big one. I'm sorry about this, but we want your opinions on this. Brace yourselves, everybody, madam. When Ncuti Gatwa makes his first appearance as the 15th Doctor in the science fiction series Doctor Who, he isn't wearing any pants. Now, I want to point out at this point, you can tell this is American. Now, pants in the United Kingdom means our underwear. In America, it means trousers, all right? But I think it's funny because he actually did wear his pants here in the UK, just didn't wear trousers. Anyway, there we go. In the 60th anniversary special released in December, the previous Doctor, played by series icon, gosh, he's got to that level now, has he? David Tennant subverts the show's long-standing practice of regeneration. Instead of simply transforming into the next Doctor, he literally splits in half, bringing Gatwa's Doctor into the world alongside him in the most vile thing I've seen. It was really disgusting, wasn't it? Anyway, I digress again. In the process, the two divide the clothes of Tennant's Doctor between them, leaving Gatwa in nothing but a t-shirt and a pair of tighty-whities. Oh my God, that first costume fitting, Gatwa says, bursting into an infectious fit of laughter. It's a frequent occurrence as he speaks with Variety on a chilly March day over lemon ginger tea at the Langham Hotel in London. I was like, are you joking? They showed me a pair of underwear and they were like, he claps his hands as if to say, voila. In addition to the whole no pants thing, Gatwa was just a little bit starstruck. Tennant, who played the part from 2005 to 2010, was the Doctor he'd grown up with, inspiring him to become an actor in the first place. To play this role beside him, who played this role, which made me want to do this role, and him also being there, it was so many layers of full circle, Gatwa says. And on top of it, you're wearing no pants, i.e. trousers. There was so much going on that day. It was an apt appearance for Gatwa, whose bubbly, fearless personality shone through in his breakout performance as the effervescent Eric on Netflix's Sex Education and as artist Ken in Greta Gerwig's Barbie. It also marks a new era for the beloved Doctor Who, with series stalwart Russell T Davies returning as showrunner, writer, and executive producer. Now, with Davies back at the helm, Gatwa is making history as the first openly queer Black actor to take on the role of the core Doctor. Do you know what? It makes perfect sense to me. Gatwa, who was born in Rwanda and raised in Scotland, says of his casting, I feel like anyone that has a problem with someone who's not a straight white man playing this character, you're not really truly a fan of the show. You've not been watching, because the show is about regeneration and the Doctor is an alien. Well, I'm glad you've managed to get that bit understood. But why would they only choose to be this sort of person? Indeed, viewers saw Gatwa's Doctor shed tears in the Christmas special, something Davies hopes will connect with the show's younger audience. The one thing I keep seeing now is the fragility of the mental health of young people. It's like there's a nervousness about in the air now, he says. So that's the hero I wanted for them. If that younger audience is feeling so much, I wanted the Doctor to feel it on screen as well. What a way to destroy a hero. What?
That sounds problematic.
He's just destroyed the hero. There's no doubt about it. He's humanized the Doctor. He's taken away that ability to look at the human race with understanding, fondness, pity, whatever the Doctor would do in the situation as a Time Lord. And now he's becoming more like us. And also, as you'll all know, if you're a regular viewer here on Who's Views, I don't like that term queer. It's a homophobic slur. I want to make that very clear again. So again, to Ncuti, grow the hell up with your vernacular. It's a slur, child. It really is.
It's interesting to use the word revolutionise the series.
Again.
I thought revolutionise meant a good thing. But it's not, is it?
Well, didn't they revolutionise the series with the first female Doctor Who, with Jodie Whittaker? And now they're doing it again. Why are these people obsessed with these sort of things? It shouldn't matter. The role, which should, in my opinion, everybody, be a male role, should be going to the best actor. It shouldn't matter. I am now beginning, and God, you know, I'm so sorry I'm saying this, but I'm now beginning, he was put there just for the DEI.
Of course he was.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wanted not to believe it, Ian. I really wanted to believe he'd been hired for his ability, and maybe he has been. That's going to come out in the next 8 episodes. But right now, where we stand doing this show right now, he's there to tick a box.
I totally agree. I think, I mean, said before, I think as we all have at different times, no problem whatsoever with a lead actor taking this role that's black. Could be bloody Chinese for all I care. If he was a fantastic actor, all power to their elbow, fantastic. But there's too much messaging here. There's just too much of it completely. It's all about the Q word. It's all about this minority. It's all about that minority. But the problem is it's the same bloody minority over and over again. And what they're failing to grasp is that it really is a minority. If you look at the audience you're trying to get and the audience that they're targeting, then the two don't add up. You know, they need to be going for a big audience and they're targeting a small audience. And the TQI lot might not like it. Fortunately, I don't care, but they won't like it. The fact that they aren't even a minority, they're a micro minority in this country. The population of this country and the population of them They are a micro minority, but that's what they're aiming for. So they'll get micro minority ratings, but they'll get even less than that when it comes to merchandise, of course, because they don't buy it.
They don't buy it. No, you're right. And that comes out in the language that they're using here in as well, which we're going to look at in a second as well. And now something that he said that will now go down in history exactly like Jodie Whittaker did. But I want to stay here, Digby, and thank you all for your comments, everybody. No, the Doctor is a guide, an inspiration, and a hero. He is not a mirror. He is not an echo. Absolutely. Yep. That's the whole point. Gatwa says Divining Dragon has weakened the protagonist. He must be largely stoic. Emotional moments must be very sparse to have impact. Limekins, they are all stunning and brave. I am tearing up here. I mean, I thought we got through this. Actually, I thought, the destruction of the show. I was one of these. I think most of us were on the fence. The show could have been saved. Yeah. It was about to be cancelled. It could have been saved with these people. Oh, yeah. Go and triple down and just put the coffin in the hole and start digging the soil over it. Right, don't you all? Absolutely nonsense. And Cybermatch Strikes is saying here, the fragility of the young ones is caused by the confusion and conflict of their agenda, which is brought on, if I may add to that, Cybermatch Strikes, by these very idiotic adults around them who should know better. Some of these people are 61 years old. In their late 50s. They've been through they lived through the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. They should know better than to bend the knee to an ideological cult to try and stay relevant. That's all they're trying to do. Oh, look at us. We are hip. We are trendy. No, you're not actually. You're not. You're actually contributing to a cult which is harmful to children. No wonder they've got bloody problems. You make me sick, the lot of you. Yeah, there we go. He's playing Gatwa, not the Doctor, says Divining Dragon. And Talons of Wayne Chang said he's a DEI shield. I really didn't want to believe it, but where I'm standing today, I can't think anything else. Digby is saying to us, nothing can be left alone. All culture must be made to serve the message. And don't we know it now? And isn't it boring? The world, I think, is starting to turn, but it's so slow, and I'm very impatient. Go on, Paul.
Well, I was prepared to give Ncuti the benefit of the doubt and to give him a chance to show himself as the Doctor. But I'm disappointed because what I've seen already, I know it's only one episode, but his comments aside, I as I said already, I think we've all said this, that you have to be a good actor to play the Doctor or have an element that makes you the Doctor. And at the moment, I can't see it at all. And the more and more I get from him as a personality, he's playing himself to a certain extent. I don't want to see this as the Doctor at all. And it's such a shame that it's come to this, that he is cast because of his ethnicity, which seems such a sad way to judge someone. It really is.
It's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? It really, and it seems to be out of step now as well with what's going on in the UK. Because as we've said before, they filmed it so far ahead, and they've done 2 back to back. Going to be very interesting from our points of view, isn't it? What we got here from Dalek, I love you. Surely has no reason for dealing with mental health issues. He has been retired to deal with all that and cured of his issues. That's the Doctor. Neville is saying to us, yes, he was put there as a vehicle for the TQI. Yep. Well, this is the other thing about it. I mean, what he's saying and what RTD says, I mean, RTD's been banging on about this for 2 years now, maybe 3. They are better than all of us, aren't they? I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. They look down at us. They look down on the public, especially in Britain, because we won't do what they're saying. And we are turning now to tell them, go away. And we're the bad ones when they're the minority, standing up for ridiculous nonsense that is now being proven to be dangerous philosophy. An actor being gay and playing it as gay stereotype are 2 very different things, says Dr. Wants. Yeah. The whole thing about being an actor is being able, I mean, who cares about your sexuality? You should be a good actor. Why is he flaunting this? And also Dr. Wants, as I said on the last headline, what an insult he is. He calls himself, like some of these misguided fools do, queer, the homophobic slur. What is that exactly? What is that? What is wrong with them saying, no, I'm a gay man, I'm a homosexual, I'm same-sex attracted? That's not what we fought for in the 70s and 80s, for them to turn around and say, we're actually the homophobic slur that you got your head kicked in about. The guy winds me up, can you tell? Stephen is also saying to us, why would an alien be bothered what he was? He's an alien, not a human being.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice of him, though, isn't it, guys, to actually mention the fact the Doctor is an alien, because he doesn't seem to know it.
But the fact that he's talking down to people that have watched, in a lot of ways, have watched this series for years, that really know it inside out, and says, you haven't been watching. What an ignorant little prick. He's got no idea at all.
None at all. Yep. I watched Captain Jack as a kid, says Kirsty, and that went over my head. That was Jack. I'll fight for you. But the Doctor and friends were not divas or lying down. Lisa is also telling us real actors do not play the victim and make it all about themselves. They are supposed to make the fans like them. Well, totally, especially when you're coming into something like this show, Lisa. But this is the second lead now, who I'm rapidly judging. I'm rapidly going to say is the miscast, the second miscast. And Jacob is asking us, what is the obsession with wanting this new audience? Well, I'll tell you from the BBC's point of view, Jacob, what this obsession with this mythical new audience is. It's the future. That's all it's about. They all seem to think now that if they don't pander to a minority of young people and press their buttons and speak the language they are demanding, then the BBC and the shows on the BBC have no future. So they're trying to grasp the next generation so they can buy into the TV license fee. It's never going to happen. They're trying to find the next audience for Doctor Who so it carries on another 20 years or something like that. You know, it's not going to happen that way, because these kids will eventually, hopefully, grow up and they'll either be arrested or they'll be dead or whatever's going to happen to them, you know, because they're all a little bit strange. Let's put it that way. It's never, ever, ever going to happen. But that's with the obsession with the new younger audience that they think, and also they're terribly misinformed, because these people are in their 40s, their 50s and 60s and listening to like-minded echo chambers. That's my opinion. That's how I see it. It seems pretty obvious to me. Let me know if you disagree in the chat. But I just wanted to let you know that this whole thing, of course, has come from Variety, and it's all based around these things, with Entertainment Weekly. So it's all come out at the same time. So of course, this is the man himself. We've showed this picture before, but this is the man himself. It continues actually in Variety. I knew where I wanted to take the character of the Doctor as soon as you walked in the room, Gatwa says. Now, this is to Millie Gibson. When he met Millie, I was like, now the characterization is complete. This was the missing piece. So he's actually giving her a compliment there by saying, as soon as Millie came in and they started their audition, he knew where the Doctor was going to go because he had the companion. I sort of get that. But he continues. Gatwa's guiding word for his Doctor became compassion, a choice that aligned with Davis's vision of the character being more emotionally free than in the past. A Doctor of old is someone who traditionally would be more closed, a little bit more aloof, David says. Then completely by chance, I cast the man who couldn't hide an emotion if he tried. So there again, we're saying here, look, a Doctor of old is someone who traditionally would be more closed, a little bit more aloof, because he's an alien. So what's he going to do now? Write him like the guy that goes into the Queen Vic? Very probably. This also continues, and this is where I'm going to have to need Kirsty in the chat and anyone else under the age of 30 who speaks all this crap, because I don't. I'm an adult and I speak proper English. I don't understand what the hell he's talking about here, so please let me know in the chat. And although Gatwa's groundbreaking casting was met with much praise, there were, of course, some haters. They use that word for everything, isn't it? For a disagree. Yeah. If you're a hater, you're a hater. Absolute nonsense. Gatwa's message to the naysayers is simple. Don't watch. Turn off the TV. Go and touch grass, please, for God's sake. Let me know what that means. He continues, go and touch grass for God's sake. What the hell is that? Anyway, then there's the criticism that Doctor Who is a show that appeals to children and that a queer, homophobic slur, actor playing the Doctor will reach more kids than ever with its new home on Disney+, which is a disturbing idea to homophobes. You utter horrible people yourselves. Davis sees the show's wider reach as an opportunity to open people's minds. Where have I heard this before from this lot? I think if you're 6 years old, you don't care. Not at all, he says. But nonetheless, as the world darkens, and I do think the world is darkening around queer rights, what the hell are you talking about, you utter nonce? There is a joy and a celebration, and there's a community. No, there isn't, Russell, because you know fine well it's all divided. Whether you're 12 years old and just beginning to work out who you are, 62 years old and you've never been who you are, oh, Jesus, this makes me sick, or 61 years old like I am and beginning to worry about where we are in society, there is a hero out there cutting his way through the universe, looking damn good in his suits and doing it with a laugh and a smile. Somebody pass me the sick bag, because that is utter nonsense and lying through his teeth, because, again, it's their agenda, isn't it? They don't see the world the way that society is. They want everybody else, the majority, to see it like they want it and to do what they're told and to be using pronouns and to say TWs are women and TMs are men and all this stuff. Utter nonsense. And what the hell, Russell, do you mean by queer rights? How dare you? They make me sick, guys.
Do you think that, I mean, I know nothing of this because it's not my lived experience. So I will just flag that up straight away. I know you've talked about your experience through the 80s and 90s, JT, and everything else. Do you think Russell T Davies was one of those gay people who didn't get the shit kicked out of him in the 80s and 90s and therefore doesn't really value the effort that was put in to get to a place that he has now since shat on? Do you think he for some reason lived some kind of charmed life where he didn't get a good decking? Because, I mean, other gay friends of mine have all told me that they got beaten up multiple times.
Yeah, totally.
Must have been bloody awful.
I mean, bearing in mind that he's 61, right? He's now 61 years old. So he would have lived through the 60s, 70s, 80s, right? And he was a young man then, wasn't he? 70s and 80s, young man. Let's face that as well. Very difficult times here. So he's obviously had his head so far up his arse over the last 20 years or something to see the progression that we've had with LGB rights. He doesn't understand the fact that we have now got same-sex marriage, that we now don't get fired from our jobs. He was in an industry, of course, show business, is that coveted gay men especially. I mean, the walls were dripping with them, for crying out loud. There were so many gay men in that industry that, quite frankly, if they'd left, the industry would have fallen down. It never got back up on its feet ever, because they were there doing everything, from costumes to lighting to dramas to everything, singing a lot. They were all there. So I don't know. Maybe he was protected. Maybe these people were protected. But it's also because now they've jumped on this American, again, no offense to the Americans watching this, but it always stems from your country, this American TQI cult that has come into Britain, that overtook Stonewall, that overtook mermaids, that started all the nonsense that the Cash Report has reported and is speaking about. And now he's doubling down. And I am not surprised by this. That statement there is utter nonsense. So look at that. Look, he's saying there, I do think the world is darkening around queer rights. What the hell is a queer right? We've got LGB rights. This proves the point that LGB, Russell, is very much without the TQ. What is a queer right? In fact, first of all, what are you if you're queer? Ncuti, please email in whosviews1@gmail.com and please let me know. Or better still, come on the show so we can have a chat. Tell me what you are. What does that mean? Why don't you use the word gay or same sex? Why do you have to go to a homophobic slur? And suddenly, why are LGB rights under attack in the United Kingdom? They aren't. These people are making this up. And I think it's all down to this cult that they are part in, And is he referring to the Cash Report there? I don't know. When was this written? But by God, we just know they are not going to be happy about this, are they? They will not be happy about the Cash Report at all. And it's something we're going to be referring to. And what does touch the grass mean? I was out cutting the grass today. Is that what it means? What's going on?
No, I think it means to get outside, to go out, to have a life kind of thing. I think is what he means by that. But I could be wrong. Maybe Kirsty can correct me on that. But I think that's what it means, my understanding of it, certainly.
Well, I think it's stupid. But basically, here we are again with both of them really alienating, both Russell T Davies and Ncuti Gatwa, alienating people in the same article yet again, because they're right, the rest of us are wrong. And she said, didn't she, allegedly, she said, if you don't like it, don't watch it, a word to those effects, didn't she?
Yeah.
And now he's coming along doing the same. You're idiots. Don't tell people not to watch your show. Make it open to everybody and tell everybody to watch it, for crying out loud.
But then when we don't watch it, we'll be homophobes and racists. That's the thing. So,
Well, they've brought that in, haven't they? They've just said it there.
Yeah.
I mean, the article, it said, accuse people that don't agree with this to be homophobic. They're not homophobic. Stop branding them. I know what a homophobe looks like. I've dealt with them this close. No, these people aren't. They might just say, like some of our people are saying here on the channel, I don't know if he's the right one for the cast, for the role of the Doctor. Oh, you're a homophobe. No, it's not on. It's disgraceful. Sorry.
But that's the same thing that happened with Jodie, wasn't it? You know, that
Yes.
same thing that if you said I didn't like her because she was a not a good actor, you're being sexist. You know, it's
yes,
like,
absolutely. You're a misogynist or sexist or a woman hater or whatever. It was disgusting, and now they're doing it again. No, not on.
It's the only way that they can respond, because they do live in those echo chambers, so they're not used to criticism. They're always told they're right. They're always told every decision they make is the right one, the correct one, and that everybody's going to love them. So when people don't follow that idea, when they get out into the wider world and realize that people do think it's all bullshit and will say so, their only response is to label them. And it's been going on for years, you know, and it's the only place they've got to go to. And if they haven't got that, then they melt, because that's what they are. You know, I've said before, bunch of bedwetters, and they can't cope with it. So you don't like Jodie Whittaker, you're a sexist. You know, you're a woman-hating, sexist, moron, misogynistic twat. If you don't like Ncuti, you're a racist. You're a homophobe. You're a transphobe. But, you know, I think Ncuti is a homophobe.
Well, he is for using that slur. I mean, I don't understand, Ian. What is this queer stuff that they're all talking about? What is that? It's not a gender. It is a homophobic slur. So what is it exactly? And what rights do these alleged homophobic slur queer people not have in the UK? It's like the trans thing, isn't it? The brilliant thing about the United Kingdom, whether you like it or not, is that we all have the same rights, because actually, until you all opened your big gobs and started waving your various colour flags, we had equality and we had inclusion, and it's gone absolutely tits up, quite frankly, or in some cases tits off. It's absolutely shocking what's going on here, isn't it? I want to say hello to Mark Jones. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. I've never seen you before, but it's lovely to see you. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, everybody, please do. RTD wanted a gay actor from the start. He chased Ollie Alexander for months. I'm not sure about that. And then he picked the class TV series Egyptian Fidi Alassiad. I haven't heard any of that, Mark, but thanks for all of that. Ollie Alexander, Russell did turn out and say no, didn't he? In a nice way. He said, no, Ollie's not quite the Doctor, or words to that effect. So I'll give him that. But I'm not surprised now if this was the way. Cybermat Strikes is thank you all for your comments. I really appreciate it. The way they carry on, you'd think LGBT rights has gone backwards over the last 40 years. Let me just point this out, Cybermat Strikes, as well. LGB and LGBT are two different things. So actually, the LGBT rights issues were way before the trans issues, and the trans people benefited from the LGBT achievements. Achievements of fantastic same-sex attracted men and women, and bisexual men and women, people that I account as heroes, some of whom lost their lives for the cause across the world. It was never down to the T. I don't care what they say. I don't care how they rewrite history. They were never there. They were never there. So I just want to make that clear, and hope you understand that, and I hope you respect that. But LGB and LGBT are not the same, and Russell has just proved that in what he's just said there as well.
Going back to Ncuti's casting, what was mentioned in the chat about different people being considered. We have heard allegedly there was another actor involved that may have been the Doctor, but then Ncuti pipped him to the post, which seems a bit strange. He was the last auditioned actor or something. He got the job, and there was someone else in the running for it before he got the job. So
that's right.
I'm interested to see how that comes out in the wash later on down the line.
Well, it always does, isn't it? Eventually, we do know about who did this, and I'll be very interested to see if it was a white actor.
I think it was, yeah.
I
heard the rumor it was, yeah. And I can't help but speculate my own theory, all alleged. I can't help thinking it may have been Aneurin Bernard, the famous Welsh actor, who's got a bit part or a secondary part or a guest part in this series, and nobody's talking about him because it's all the other stuff. But he's in here as well. He's a cracking actor. He's got the look of the Doctor. Watch out for him, because he's another highlight of the series. But not once has he been mentioned in any of the pre-publicity. And yes, he's a star.
I think he's going to be the villain because he's a white male. So,
Well,
That's probably why they're not publicising it, to be quite honest. I hate to think it now, but we are where we are with this, and it seems pretty obvious. Digby's telling me, absolutely, JT, trans ideology has done more to erase gay people in recent years than any outright fundamentalist. Absolutely. And yeah, this is why in the United Kingdom, LGB without the TQ is a hashtag. The movement is growing. More and more same-sex attracted people are waking up to this. And I have a feeling that Doctor Who Series 1 is going to help us. Thanks to the cash report. Most of the hate I've seen, says Neville, comes from the TQI lobby. All of it does.
yeah.
They attacked LGBT rights. They attacked LGBT history. They attacked women's rights, women's history. They've attacked all that. And now it's all in Doctor Who. Isn't it strange? Mm-hmm. Is queer homophobic slur what straight actors claim in Hollywood to get a job? Yes, they have to. I'm sure they would have to. And Richard is saying to us, the Q word means anyone wants to be Q, can stand for questioning. It's a dreadful catch all for the cult. Questioning. Bloody hell. Do you know, in my day when you came out as questioning, it meant you were bi for a couple of minutes until you met the right fella. Do you know what I mean?
Just curious then, yes.
Well, we had to as well, because of course it wasn't acceptable to be homosexual. It wasn't acceptable to gay. You got your head kicked in many times for some of us as well, you know, and it was a case of like, people would taunt about you and talk about you. So you basically said to transition yourself way into that, you know, basically for them, you said you would be bi. And that sort of was acceptable because you were still going with women, but you weren't. Yeah. So when you came out full as gay, people around you were sort of like, oh yeah, that's okay. But that's what helped us change the movement in the late 80s into the early 90s, because eventually you didn't do that. You just came screaming. You just came out screaming, going, oh, look at me, I'm gay. And it was thanks to people like us, because we came out, because we were confident, and because we were expressing ourselves in the 90s, that employment rights changed and all these wonderful things happened because we became a movement that met some. But now they're unraveling it left, right, and centre and calling it all Q. Blah. Hello, Lisa. When they call people phobic, all they are saying is we're all scared of them. Phobia isn't hate. It's scared of something like arachnophobia. Shows how stupid they really are. Yeah. Why would anybody have that? I mean, you know, in this day and age, homophobia once was nearly gone, really. There was quite a lot of tolerance, but it's now on the rise again, thanks to the TQI cult. And why Russell T. Davies and his homosexual friends in Doctor Who can't see that or understand that or are turning a blind eye to it, I find disgusting and, quite frankly, worrying.
But as we said already in various shows, that, you know, it's the wrong use of words. They're making words like hate and homophobia nonsensical because they're not using the right context. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. You know? And
the other stupid thing is as well, do they think that these things aren't going to go out? Oh, Variety, quite a glossy magazine. You know, it's £6, £7, £8, £9. Nobody's going to buy that. Well, are they that stupid? Are they not? Did they not realize that we're going to find this and we're going to look at this? Did they not realize the harm? If I was in BBC Studios now, I'd be bloody livid again. Because you thought you're coming out of one fire pit. You're in a worse one now.
Oh, yeah.
And you've spent millions in it.
This makes Jodie Whittaker's era seem rosy in comparison. It really does.
Oh, doesn't it just? Doesn't it just? Jacob is...
It's incredible.
Well, it does, though, doesn't it? What do you think about that, Who viewers? Jacob is saying, I believe queer, homophobic term, is used by those who don't want to fit under the straight, gay, or lesbian labels, but it seems to vary all the time. Yes, it does. What they don't want to fit under the straight, gay, or lesbian. What are they then? Asexual? I think they're just stupid. I think they're insane. They've been given all this nonsense from universities and colleges. Scrap them all.
They're living a fiction. That's the problem, isn't it? So.
There's a lot of them ultimately that are narcissists, so they don't want to fit the label because they would be the same as everybody else, and they want it all. Look at me, make it about me. So they try and make themselves different. So they don't want to be that. They don't want to believe that. So they'll invent something else. You see them all the time. You know, I identify as this, that, or the other because nobody else has yet. So it makes me unique. It's quite sad, really.
Well, it's not just sad. The effect it's had on society is shocking because they've I mean, this thing, as I've said before, this ideology has been dictated to us by people that had done actually quite good work in government or business or whatever, and they've twisted it and they've turned it and they said, now you need to do this. Confusing, I have to say it, a lot of people, mainly who are heterosexual, because they think they're doing the right thing because somebody that knows better than them is telling them. I think they're now waking up. and I'm pleased about it because I can tell you it's homophobic. It's really homophobic. And if you want to stand by your same-sex attracted pals, then reject the TQI cult. Please, because, you know, that's where we stand right now, and start supporting women, both gay women and straight women, and their rights that have been hard earned and fought and won, which are now under attack on a daily basis, and also ours as LGBT people, because they are now under attack by these people who seem to think they're on the right side of history. What a load of old shocking nonsense that is. Kieran, hello to you again. Lovely to see you. And I think your name is Collie there. It's lovely to see you. Thank you very much for joining us in the chat. He is saying the show has burnt itself out and it has become an absolute joke. It should be cancelled and put on hiatus. It needs a good long rest. That's the only way the show can be saved. Isn't it amazing that here in 2024, the majority of us fans now sound like Michael Grade and Jonathan Powell? Who'd have thought we'd see the day?
It's become very sad that we want it to be cancelled. You know, it really is quite sad.
Yeah. Digby is saying to us here, Aneurin Bernard would have been great. He would have been an ideal doctor. And I lost about 30 quid because I had a bet on him. And I was not happy, boys and girls. I was not happy. I was like, damn it. I really thought it was going to be him because he just had that look of the doctor. The eyes were just glowing. And if I find out that it was going to be him and they replaced him with Mickey Mouse here, I am not going to be happy at all, Digby. I can absolutely tell you. And Kieran is also telling us absolutely sick to death of all this awful political ideology. It has no place in Doctor Who. I don't care what any of these people say. Oh, you didn't see Green Death. Oh, you didn't see the Happiness Patrol. Not the same at all. Not the same at all. Limekins is telling us, I will be playing DEI bingo during the show. Don't give me ideas. I've got too much for our shows coming up as it is. Don't give me any more, mate. But that would be brilliant. This is why we are angry, says Digby. We are enjoying something and the ideologies and the grifters came along and ruined the thing we loved. Name me a show that they haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the franchise they haven't. Yeah.
They can't help it, can they?
No. That's showbiz for you, folks. That's what it's all about now. They're all absolute nonsense.
Can you count many of the any of the programs that they've done that they've created from scratch in this image?
No.
Because it's easier to destroy than it is to build. And they don't have the skill set to build. So they just destroy.
They don't, and they just let it all go, don't they? They don't care. They're not interested in anything. You know, they just think, right, this is how it should be now, and then they just get on with it. It's just, I don't know. And anything that Disney touches, well, we all know that.
As we said before, Disney used to be quite good when we were growing up as kids. Great movies, great animations and things. And then, you know, Walt Disney will be defrosting as we speak.
Or his head will be.
Or his head will be, yes. Yeah.
And then they'll make a Doctor Who episode about it. Nathan is saying to us here, I hope they never work again. They are a disgrace. I totally agree with you, Nathan. And of course, as you may have seen on the previous headlines, I'm starting to say now it's about time, following the publication of the Cash Report here in the United Kingdom, that the BBC, the entertainment industry, and Doctor Who and its current production team in particular should be investigated. That's what I think. I'm controversial maybe, but I think the whole industry needs looked at.
I'm just thinking now about that last comment. I'm imagining a remake, and it's the brain of Disney instead of the brain of Morbius. It's finding a new. Solon is making a new body for the brain of Disney.
It could happen though, couldn't it?
Made out of different Disney characters probably as well. Your Mickey Mouse's head, you know.
Blue Worm is making quite a funny point here. RTG and Gatwa insist that if you're a gay, you're a wonderfully happy person, but JT, you're one of the angriest people I've seen. I hope you realize that it is justified. I am angry, and I have been now for 4 and a bit years because I've seen my community destroyed. I have seen my community infested by brainwashing. I have seen what I would normally have called gay men attacking other gay men because they won't bend the knee to the TQI cult and that bloody flag that came over from America, of which you can see in our thumbnails. I have seen gay men ousted from what used to be gay bars because they won't bend the knee to this ideology. And I've seen comments like being made by Ncuti Gatwa and Russell T Davis, where they actually say things like this nonsense. And I think it's dangerous in a sense because, look, yet again, if you're 6 years old, you don't care. We know what they're looking at here. Paul pointed it out as well from one of the behind-the-scenes shows of Doctor Who. The messaging to 6-year-olds, and it's poisonous, the messaging they give them. There are two genders, you know. That's why I'm angry.
They should be very, very careful, the BBC, with the kind of stuff that they're doing with people that are targeting children, because you know they don't have a good track record, do they?
No, and they don't need another scandal. And yet, why do I get the feeling, Ian, that there's one brewing?
I do love it. Watch all that come crashing down, because it would come so close after all that last lot that it would show that I think it'd finish them, to be quite honest, because it would show that not only have they not learned anything, but they've encouraged it and embraced it and basically given it free rein.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you all for your comments coming on this one as well. And Lex is also saying to us here, RTD's speech in news articles is very dictatorship. He is. I think that's because he is basically a dictator in a writer's overcoat. You know, thank goodness he can't go into politics now unless he's really going to do it as an old person. Mind you, the politicians here in the UK are gently starting to turn. It's been an incredible week here in Scotland for the Scottish government. That's exciting. If you don't know anything about that, we could be looking at the first ever in history Scottish government general election, as well as the UK government election in the same year. That doesn't usually happen, but you never know. It all stems down to far left liberals and ideology. It all stems down to it, and it has a sense of everything turns eventually, and common sense could arise again, and I really, really hope it is. I really hope it's on the way. Really do. Listen, everybody, this has been a great chat. Thank you very much for your comments, by the way, saying that my anger is justified. I'm thank you. I really appreciate it, but I have been so pissed off about this for 4 years. I really have. And now here we are on the eve of what I thought was going to be a brand new, open-minded, available to all, accessible to everybody, including people I don't get on with for political reasons or whatever, series of Doctor Who, and it's not. It's going to be more of what we've seen with the Chibnall era. We have to face that now. And as somebody said right at the top of our show, maybe it's time to let it go. Let's discuss as we move forward, because as we know, whatever that mouse touches goes to pot, doesn't it? It goes absolutely bizarre. So you cannot trust the mouse on anything. But this has been a great show, everybody. Just to remind you,
one thing before we wrap up, we're going to say I think "Let It Go" is a perfect little tune to go out on from Frozen by Disney, which is perfect.
He's going to get slapped.
All together now.
Just remember, here at Who's Views, we've got lots for you, including this. Because by God, we're going to need all that, aren't we, as we go forward into the... Right, we're going to end with some fabulous news, by the way, everybody, if you don't mind, just to cheer us up. I just at this point want to remind you that we are back tomorrow at our usual time at 7:30 here on this very fabulous, we hope, wonderful channel for you, with more headlines, because yes, as I said at the top of the show, it's been very, very, very busy. But we're going to finish this show off and let you all go off and have a nice, well-earned cup of tea with Kent Online and some pictures from Kent Online. Kent, if you don't know, if you're outside the UK, is a region of Britain. It's a county in England, not far from that there, London, innit? And in Kent Online this very week, Doctor Who actor Tom Baker delighted staff by posing with a Dalek at Sid's Emporium in Tenterden. So if you didn't see the pictures, here's Tom. Isn't this fabulous? So this is from Kent Online. You can look this up at kentonline.co.uk. An actor best known for playing Doctor Who delighted staff by posing with a Dalek, albeit a little one, at a Kent shop. Tom Baker, who played the fourth Time Lord between 1974 to 1981, visited Sid's Emporium in Tenterden near Ashford yesterday. That's obviously in Kent. The 90-year-old was invited along by owners Donna and Simon, who opened the shop, which specializes in antiques and crafts, in October. Donna, who was a big fan of the show as a child, described Mr. Baker as a true gentleman. So there he is, the man himself, the legend that is Tom Baker, out visiting their shop. And what a nice little... Can you imagine if Tom walked into your shop and went, hello? That'd be lovely, wouldn't that? Would make my day, I tell you.
Yeah.
But fantastic. Yeah. Lovely pictures there. I'll show you them again. There he is there with the little toy Dalek. Yeah. Is anybody near Ashford? I mean, I used to have an ex in Ashford, but he's probably not going to bother with me anymore. But look at that Dalek there. There's a Louis Marks Dalek there. I'm trying to find out. Is that an original? How much is it, guys? whosviews1@gmail.com. Let me know. But there we go.
It looks in good nick to be an original.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the Project Enterprise issues, isn't it? Really?
I think it is, yeah. Yeah.
Probably, very probably. Listen, the chat has been fantastic. Let's have a look and see what you're saying about Tom. Richards is saying, dear Tom. Digby is saying, always will be my doctor. Thank goodness we ended on a happy note, said Blue Worm. Mark is telling us, thank you for your time. Great show. Lovely. Thank you very much. Talons. Thanks, panel. Thanks, chat. See you all tomorrow. That's nice to know. Thank you. We like to know that, yeah. Artemis saying to us, wonder how much that Dalek will go for after Tom had it. Oh, that's a point. Yeah, you could put an extra $5 on there, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dalek. I love you. Nice to see you. Stephen is saying, that's my Doctor Who. Spielcab, nice to see you. Is it the curator? Both. Yeah. Lex Kane is saying to us, a great Liverpool actor. He is. He really, really is.
Emporium sounds like something straight out of Hancock's Half Hour.
It does a bit, yeah. Yeah.
Sid James in the background. Can I just say, though, JT, Dalek I Love You is a very cheeky person. I did clock earlier on in the chat. He said that somebody on this panel looked a bit like Russell T Davies, and it wasn't either of you two.
Well, I wonder who it could be then.
Listen, there's some lovely comments coming through about this. Now that's the Doctor, says Mysterious Stranger 42. Thank God he doesn't watch it these days. Thank God. Can you imagine what you think about it? Stephen says lovely pictures, and he's also saying he lives in Kent. Right, get down there and see what they've got and report back at whosviews1@gmail.com. We'll expect your report in the next few days. Thank you.
And if you see Tom, say hello from us, please, as well. So.
Well, he lives there. He's back there. He's back there, isn't he? Back in Kent now. Thanks for the entertainment, guys. You're very welcome. And thank you all for joining us with all your comments. Great show, guys. Thank you very much. And Spielberg is saying, oops, I'm a little late, obviously. Well, yes, you are a little bit late. Where have you been? But you know what, my friend? You can go back right now and watch it all, because we're going to go off and have a cup of tea and probably a nervous breakdown now as we get ready for what's coming up in May. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Oh, I've got, look, there's more. Thank you. Baker has class. That's the Doctor. Look at this. Oh, fabulous. I'm going to leave it all there, but thank you all for your chat. And don't forget, we do have our Tom Baker season that we did for his 90th birthday in January on the playlist as well. You can go and have a look at all of those. We had a bit of fun celebrating Tom's 90th. As I say, we will be back tomorrow, our usual time on a Sunday at 7:30 with more from the last few days, and including a look and a chat about that master breaking news that happened today. It's all going to be here for you tomorrow. Where else would you be? Come and join us tomorrow from 7:30 live. Ian and Paul, looking forward to it already.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring it on.
Absolutely, bring it on. Let's see where we go. We will see you tomorrow. Look after yourselves. Have a good night if you're in the UK. Have a great day if you're outside the UK. We'll see you on the next show. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.